anything.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Corning Sports Report Live. We're live here in beautiful crime-free Corning, Arkansas, or the heart of Arkansas, as I like to call it, God's country. We're parked here right now at the old Walmart building. I am joined with special guest, Mr. Drew Calhoun. Drew, thank you for tuning in or jumping on board with us. And
thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. How you doing?
Doing all right.
Awesome. Hey, I'm getting my phone set up here for some comments. We're going to be driving, strolling around town, guys, is what we're going to do. We're going to hit some historical spots that Drew has kind of got listed out here, and we hope you kind of engage with us. We sure would appreciate it if you did. We had a little bit better setup before, but things happen, life happens, and here we are. So we're about to get going. Colton, my audio guy there, was telling us that the audio is just a little bit loud, so I'm going to fix that. All right, let's see if we can get this thing here to where I can still see your comments, but also see the road safely. Don't want to cause any problems here, so there we go. We've got Gayla Blanchard, Ronnie Jones of Silver Fox is on right now. By the way, hey, those who know Ronnie knows he's a tough-nosed, stubborn son of a gun. I love him to death, and I can say that. He's going through a lot right now, and he could use your prayers, your thoughts, your good vibes. So y'all say a prayer for Mr. Ronnie Jones, the Silver Fox. He's going through some stuff, and I won't disclose what that is or what's going on there, but Ronnie is going through some stuff. So, Ronnie, if you're still on there with us, buddy, hey, we're praying for you. We're here for you, man, anything you need. Hoping everything goes well. And I know it will. So I'm very, very faithful there. Clint Evans is on with us. Clint Evans from class of 04 maybe, class of 04 CHS. Jacob Price also on there, a Corning High School alumni. As someone flies by us here in the parking lot, we'll get you another little camera view here. This is on the same camera, but that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be strolling around town here. We're going to get you back onto us, though. We've never done a mobile stream like this. I'm a little nervous. If it goes bad, we have someone to blame. This is his first time on, so that's good.
Just put the blame on me.
Exactly. Somebody. It's not our fault. Lord, no. We got Clint Evans. Oh, yeah, live drive. I love it. Bradley Morrow's on with us, too. I'll let a few more get on here. This is the graphic for what we're doing here today, folks. Let you get an idea there. It's a trip down memory lane, we're going to call it. And, again, with special guest Drew Calhoun. What we're going to do, again, if you're just tuning in, we're going to hit some hot spots here in town and go over them with our local historian. I think he's a historian. He may not call himself that, but he does a good job with all this stuff. And Drew Calhoun. We got Bradley Morrow on, Mary Wiedemann, Lindsey Keck, Donna Briney, Amber Leach is on, Chad Stallings. Hey, y'all let us know where you're watching from. Mr. Jerry Songer's on. And if you got any spots you want us to hit and talk about, we definitely will. And also, if you're a local business that's open today and you want us to stop by, maybe get a little airtime, we'd be more than happy to do that too. Go figure, it's raining today. We had to change cars, and this is a little different animal, so we're going to do the best we possibly can, though, to get you this stream done. I think we've got enough on, Drew. Are you about ready to roll, man? Let's do it. All right. Guys, we're going to stick with us here on this view for just a second, then we'll flip out to the front view. Again, we're at the Walmart old building here in Corning, Arkansas, the old Walmart building, I should say. Again, Drew Calhoun along with me here. What's our first stop, Drew, before we...
The first house we're going to stop at is the old Oliver House.
Okay. Okay. That's where we're going first, the Oliver House. If anybody knows any history on that and wants to talk about it, or maybe got a little personal, maybe it's a kinfolk of yours that owned it at one time, whatever it may be. So, again, we got Steve Dennis, a co-worker there at Baldwin Chevrolet. I appreciate you, Steve. Mr. Brownie George Zayas from New York City, New York. Mr. Matt Rigdon. Holler at me, Matt, after this, too. I got something personal to talk to you about. Kelly Valance as well. She's on. We appreciate y'all. Here we go, guys. We're going to rock and roll. Hopefully the stream will continue. I don't know. We've never done this, so this is totally new as we're driving here. And right in front of us, actually, I'm going to switch the camera over here for just a second. And this is one that we're going to talk about as I'm stopped now. I'm going to switch the camera over here because this is one that we're going to talk about in a little bit, too, and that's Wynn Park, as you can see it over there. And we'll talk about it here in just a little bit. But, again, first we're going to go see the Oliver House. And while we're going there, Drew, tell us how you kind of got into this, man. This is something you've been doing for a while. I know you have a passion for it, seems like. What kind of got you into all this?
What kind of got me into history in general is, back in Central, it was kind of really, in history classes, the same thing. It was the founding of America, Civil War, into slavery, and you went over the same thing every year. And when I got over to high school in 7th grade, I had Coach Eddington, and we started talking about Mesopotamia and Babylon. I was like, there's all these different topics of history that I've never even heard of. And I started looking up just different churches in the area online, and I started finding old photos. And then I started going on these sites that had these histories, and I ended up finding out one of my great uncles was a pioneer missionary. His name was the Reverend James A. Wheatley. He actually founded the Dado Missionary Baptist Church, and he was a pastor of several churches in Clay County and Randolph County until he retired in Tulsa, Oklahoma, after starting 2 churches there. So after that, once I read his history, I started reading about other topics in Corning, and I started looking at photos, and I was like, wow, there is a lot of interesting stuff that was here at one point.
That's awesome, man. That's fantastic. So one thing kind of led another, and here you are. And I know I speak for everybody when I say I appreciate it, man, because you've done a fantastic job of trying to preserve the Corning history, and there's a lot of history with this town. And speaking of, how did this town get started, man? What year? How did the town get its name? Do you kind of have the history on that for us as well?
Yeah, the Clay County, or as it was originally called, Clayton County, was formed in 1873 out of the eastern part of Randolph County and the northern part of Greene County. It was, like I said, 1873, and it was around that time that the Cairo and Fulton Railroad was moving through the area. It would have came probably in the 1850s, but construction on it was delayed due to the Civil War. But when it finally came through, in this area, probably about 8 miles north of the Black River, there was a little colony village by the name of, I'll probably have to pronounce it wrong.
He's going to butcher. I'm glad you're saying it first, then good.
I call it Heck City, but the actual pronunciation was probably Hege.
Hege.
It's
H-E-C-H-T?
H-E-C-H-T.
Is that right? Okay.
The
spelling bee champion.
I can't spell anything.
Yeah.
The last name originates from it's a Jewish Dutch style name. Anyway, the village was made up of 2 brothers who were the earliest sources I found has their names listed as Levi and Morris, and that's what I found in census records, going on Ancestry, looking up some of this stuff. Some of the later records that came out listed Morris's name as Solomon, but all the early records I found don't have that. So, but in hearing that the Cairo and Fulton Railroad was rumoring that they would build in the area, they moved their settlement westward, and during the 1871 1872, that's when the main construction of the railroad came through. And then finally, once the railroad was completed on February the 5th, 1873, that's when the town name was officially switched from, at that transition time, it was locally known as Carpenter Station, because James Carpenter was the conductor there. But the name was officially changed when the first train came through to Corning.
That's awesome, man. You've got it down, brother. I mean, you have absolutely got it down. Okay, I think we are at our first stop. I do believe. I'm going to get over here and I'm going to switch cameras for you folks. Drew did a fantastic job there of giving us an idea. Flora says, "Show the road." Well, here's the road that we're on, Adolfo. Right there's the road we're on right now, but I'm about to show you something a little bit different than the road there. If I can get my my camera up here to it, and I'm going to show you what our first stop. This right here is our first stop. Again, I do not have a tripod in here, just no way to do that, so a little unsteady camera, but hopefully you can bear with me here. And it's pouring down rain, go figure. As you can see on the sign there, this is the Oliver House here on 1st Street, 203 Southwest to be exact. We are right beside the railroad track. In fact, if you can see right there, there's the railroad track to the right of the screen right there. And I'm going to let Drew take over here. Drew, tell us a little bit about the Oliver House and why it's so important to us as far as history goes.
Well, it's one of the older remaining homes in Corning. It was The style of architecture is a late Victorian. It was built by one of Corning's earliest residents, J.W. Hart, in 1880, and it was originally built. You can kind of see how it's L-shaped. It was originally built facing Walnut Street, but with the advent of the railroad, it was extended on outward to have the front door facing the railroad because that was the big thing at the time. See what else I got here.
And this is, folks, this is a big home too. I know it's kind of hard to see maybe on the screen here, but I'm going to move to a little bit different spot here to get a little bit different visual. But very big home, and honestly, for the year of it and everything, I think it's held up pretty good. Obviously, you see a few things obviously with it that need some touching up or some fixing. I think there's someone trying to go past us here, so I'm going to move over to the far right-hand side of this road as I possibly can. And I doubt they want to get on to the live stream here, so I'll bring you back to us for a second. Again, folks, this is on Front Street, as Drew had mentioned, and we got some people going by. Older gentleman. He's got a Bobcat on the back of the truck. I like that. Again, as Drew had mentioned, this is right here on Front Street, and as you can see from this view right here, railroad's right there to your right. Right beside us here, and this house is extremely old, and it's still up, it's still going, and it's still standing. Do we know who owns this house now? Is this something that's passed on to somebody else? Is it something that the city owns now, or what's the story on that? Do we know?
The guy who owned it had an antique shop in it for a while. He's been trying to sell it, but I think he's really wanting a serious buyer, and not just somebody who just, because he's owned it for so many years. He wants somebody to treat the house with respect.
I can totally respect that, especially a house like that. And again, you see a little bit of stuff there. Obviously, it's going to need some repair. But again, this is a beautiful house, and a little bit here, a little bit there, and kind of a neat view, like you said, looking over the the railroad there. And man, we got so many people on. Amy Bruton says, I love that house with a heart. And Amy, we do too. This is obviously a part of Corning's history, and we definitely do too. And again, for folks that are just tuning in with us, this is the Oliver House here on First Street in Corning, Arkansas. Very neat. Got a fence that probably was put up back when it was built too. Very old. And actually, I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to actually drive around a little bit to the side of this house, as we have got a train coming. Hopefully those people there in front of us got by in time. They did, thankfully. They're waving at us there. We got our first wave of the live stream, folks. And the train is definitely honking, making sure we know what we're doing here, and we see the lights. Again, guys, let us know if you have any history with that house, if you know anybody that's been at that house. As the train goes by, maybe they'll wave at us too there. Couldn't get a wave there. And again, that's the view that you have from this Oliver house because of the location of it and where it sits and where it stands there. So we're going to drive around to the side here of it and try to get you a better view of this house if we can. Again, if you've ever had any history with this house, or maybe had known the previous owners or whatever it may have been, let us know. This is really neat and beautiful little area here. Of course, I love the entire town of Corning. It's just it's beautiful in general. But here's the side of the house right here. Again, this is the Oliver house, and beautiful flowers from the trees there. And
let's say when the original structure was built, it was one story, but this would have been the front entrance here in Walnut Street.
So this side right here, originally, like you said, because we are on Walnut right now, would have been the what they seen out of their front windows, if you will. And I see a chimney up there as well. And honestly, the shingles still look pretty good. The roof still looks halfway decent. Really cool. The little fence, the old picket fence there, if you will. Amber Ward went to Head Start there. I didn't even know there was a Head Start there. That's interesting.
See, my mom, she works at the school, but when she first started out, she worked with early childhood development. She worked at the Head Start that was here.
That is awesome. I didn't even know that. I just learned something today. And I assumed I was going to, but that's really neat. Sandy Anderson says maybe HGTV Hometown will take care of it when they come to Corning. I sure hope so. I know Drew and myself, we worked really hard on that and Paige and Jay Malone, and hopefully that video got their attention. We're hoping.
Hopefully.
So Pee Wee Pritchett's watching. Gary Stevenson's, Travis Woolcutt. Are we ready to go on to our next spot? Are you ready? Has anybody else got any more questions about the Oliver House while we're here, while we're looking at it, the Oliver House? I'll wait for just a second for you guys if you do. Wait just a second here. Again, Travis Woolcutt's on. We appreciate everybody for tuning in with us. Louise Tisdale, Audrey Hudson, Jay Malone. We just talked about Jay Malone. Hey, he's got Jay's Photography here in town, guys. That's a local business. We'd love to help him out. He does a fantastic job with pictures, videos, graphic designs, all kinds of different stuff. We appreciate you, Jay. Travis Woolcutt says you showing the old Sandlot field. Hey, we can. Travis, I didn't even think about that. That's actually a pretty good point, but we certainly can. Again, this is the Oliver House. We're going to give just a few more seconds here if anybody has any questions, and we're going to move on to our next spot. Again, what was the year, I'm sorry, Drew, that this was?
I believe 1880.
1880, folks. 1880. Right when my dad was born. He helped construct it. I'm kidding. If Old Man River's watching, that was just a joke. We call him that. We give him a hard time, but we got nothing but love. As Doug Reed tunes in with us as well, and we'll get you back to our view here. I'll put this camera down somewhere safely as we got our hazards on here in the middle of the road. We're going to move on to the next location. Drew, what do we got next, buddy?
The next site we're going to look at is Hop Alley.
Hop Alley, that's what I'm talking about. We're going to hop on over to Hop Alley. And I know there's a lot of people on here. Zach Prater's on with us that know a little bit about Hop Alley, especially if you're the older generation. That was a hopping place. I know that wasn't necessarily the reason they called it Hop Alley, but as he'll tell you here in a little bit. But it was definitely a hopping place back in the day. And as we're driving over there, we'll allow everybody to kind of get on here and give us any kind of questions about the places that we're going to. Give us any kind of stories that you have from these places. We want to hear them. We want to hear the history of Corning. I know Drew's done a lot with his stuff on this history part, but there may be something like I didn't know about the Head Start. I had no idea that building, the Oliver House, was a Head Start. That's really, really cool. I mean, if I could pick a Head Start, I think I'd pick that big old house too, the big old fenced-in yard. So we've got Tanya Lunsford with us, Jamie Monroe, Marka Davis is on as well. We're going to turn the camera over here to the road so you guys can see exactly where we're going. Well, we thought you could see where we're going. Maybe you can't. There we go. Windshield wipers. Man, revolutionary design, and thank goodness they work. And we're pulling up here. We're actually at the intersection right now of where Red Taylor Ford is. Folks, that's also a local business, and I know talking to David yesterday, they'd love to have an opportunity to help you out over there. I know with this virus and stuff, everything's really changed for a lot of people, and it's getting really, really tough for our local businesses. So that's another local business I just wanted to mention there. And we're going to turn right here by this beautiful Ford Mustang. And we're going to get you over here. And Drew, make sure I don't pass it up. Sometimes I forget which spot this is over here.
It's right up here.
I know it's right up here on the right. But, again, this is Drew Calhoun with us. This is a trip down memory lane. And what we'll do is we'll roll down his window this time. And we're going to give you the Hop Alley. And I think we're just about the right spot here. And I'm going to get the camera out here. And I'll do that for you, buddy. I know you got. All right, guys. So here we go. We're getting you the Hop Alley. If I can get the camera on it. There we go. All right, Drew, tell us a little bit about Hop Alley.
Well, the kind of genesis of Hop Alley was when there was a whole block of buildings here. The majority of old buildings in downtown Corning, really up until the 1890s, were wood-framed. And there was a devastating fire that knocked out this whole block here. And around this time, a man by the name of Douglas Hobson built an attorney office. It kind of left a gap between two buildings, and it eventually spread all the way from 1st Street to 2nd Street. And people just kind of adapted their buildings and kind of enclosed and roofed it off and kind of created this alley over the years. There's a plaque up here that it gives the year for the date he built the building, which was 1906. Let's say some of the real origins of the name Hop Alley are there's kind of really two theories. A lot of people, given the fact that his name was Douglas Hobson, they take it from his name. But some people point to the fact that during the Mississippi River flood of, I believe, 1927. The city was poorly drained after that, so the boardwalk sidewalks were floating, so you literally had to hop to get through the alley. So some people point to that.
That's
So,
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That would make sense for Hop Alley for sure. That is really, really cool. And this, I know at one time this area right here was very, very hopping back in the day. And I've heard some stories of different things like arcade in one of these buildings over here that was kind of used quite a bit by the younger kids. That's kind of where you went back in the day. I guess I don't know if it was after school or on the weekends or what it was, but we've heard that many, many times. Erica Mashton said, Kelsey said she read in a book that Mary Anderson invented the windshield wipers. There we go. Mary Anderson is our inventor of the windshield wipers, folks. We've got several on. Jesse Guthrie. Anybody have any questions about Hop Alley while we're here and while I'm holding this camera up with one hand and it's going numb? Does anybody have any questions at all? Amber Reisner, she says, my grandma had a ceramic shop in one of those buildings at one time. Let's see here. So we've got a few buildings over here. Obviously, we've got that building right there, and I know it's kind of a two-story theme there. And we've got one here to the side of us as well. And
See, the western half of the alley was torn down in the early 90s. Because I remember reading an article that Mary Lee Vines wrote talking about how she was disappointed with all of Corning landmarks being destroyed. Like the Mopac Depot was right up here. She talked about the disappointment that they tore that down, then Hop Alley, and also the Clay County Jail at the Court Square.
oh, okay, yeah. And that was in when you said in the 90s? Is that right?
The early 90s.
Early
I don't have
90s.
the exact date.
Gotcha, folks. That is Hop Alley there again. Like Drew was mentioning, and this is definitely a historic spot. I know there's some older generation that have a lot of stories from this. In fact, if you're watching right now and you've got some stories, see Kevin Earls on. It's my uncle. I know. I'm sure he was down in this area. Rendell Godwin. I'm sure you're probably Jen and Allen maybe as well. Y'all let us know kind of your tales from Hop Alley here. And while we're sitting here too, looking at Hop Alley, we've created a kind of an economic development committee, a group, whatever you want to call it, called Growing Corning Together. And last year we had our first spring festival, and in which we called
Hop Alley Rally.
There you go, Hop Alley Rally. So, and it was all dedicated to this right here, trying to reinvent downtown, get it going again and booming again. But centered around the Hop Alley, obviously, and of course we had it on the other side of this Hop Alley here is what we did. And a lot of people would park here and they would actually go down to Hop Alley, this Hop Alley right here, just to get to the festival. So, trying to bring the history of Corning back if we can. And if no one else has any questions or any comments about Hop Alley, what we'll do is we'll get back to our venture here, to our next stop, if you will. And Drew, what do we got next, buddy?
We got the Indian Mound on First and Pine.
Now, I truly do not know where the Indian Mound is. Didn't even know we had an Indian Mound, so this is going to be new to me, so you're going to have to make sure I don't mess this up and butcher the directions here. It is raining, so I'll shut that sunroof. We're getting rained on with our equipment right now. So, all right, we ready?
Sure.
Let's make it happen. Nobody behind us, nothing but wet asphalt in front of us. So, guys, again, if you're tuning in with us, let us know.
I lied to you. I got one before that.
What? Oh, man, we got to work on our communication. It's our first time doing this together, so you got to bear with us, guys. Kevin Earl says Aaron Boyd owns the Hop. Yes, he does. He does own the Hop Alley bill. We've been in talks with him many, many times, Mr. Aaron Boyd. Okay, so where do I need you be my guide here?
On the list I had this the JW Back Lumber Barn.
Yeah, okay.
Got the whole black operation.
Yeah, absolutely. So here, what I'll do is I'll just back it on up a little bit here. Actually, I'll just make the turn right here. And, folks, we'll get you on to where you can see in front of us and see exactly what Drew's talking about after I wipe off that windshield there really quick. And this, I believe, is what Drew is talking about. The J.W. Black Lumber Company.
Yeah.
Massive, like you said, kind of a barn building, actually.
Yeah.
And I'm going to pull up to the side of it here, and I'm going to get a camera out, and you can kind of look at it as well. We'll put our flashers back on is what we'll do, so.
So it's one of the more older buildings on the black property. I believe originally it was used not for lumber, but more horses and oxen, which were used to haul the lumber. But obviously when, technology advanced, they switched it from livestock to lumber. But the J.W. Black Lumber Company was started all the way back in, go through my notes here, in 1894 when J.W. Black arrived in Corning. He came to town on a chartered rail boxcar.
Wow.
And the very next year he would start his company. He originally started it with Fred Arnold, and it was called the Black and Arnold Lumber Company. But eventually that was kind of phased out, and it became the J.W. Black Lumber Company.
Okay.
And it was in operation for 123 years until the mill's closure was announced a few years ago in 2018.
I was just going to say it felt like it was just yesterday whenever we heard about what I found very, very sad news that it was closing, and kind of get you more of a side view here. I'm just trying to be careful here, just to make sure we don't get any kind of traffic here. Don't want to mess up the normal everyday flow of traffic here in Corning, especially on First Street, West First Street here. But that is the building that he is talking about, and that one of the oldest buildings in general, I would imagine, in the town of Corning, the Black's Lumber building here.
I say it was, the company literally built the town. A lot of these old mansions, you can go up in the rafters in the attics, and it'll still say J.W. Black on the lumber. It'll still have like the name of the family they sold the lumber to written on it by the employees.
That's awesome, man. That is really, really neat. And I don't know if we have any some descendants, any family members of the Black family company, or family members here that are on with us or not. But I think we've got the is that our mayor right there? I think it is. There goes our mayor right there, Mr. Mayor Arndt. He's waving at us, wondering what the heck we're doing. He's probably thinking, what do we got going on here? And again, this is the Black's Lumber building here. Get you a little bit more if anybody has any questions on that. Here's Amber Reisner. She says, there was another sawmill that serviced the community also back in the 80s. Jim Little Sawmill, County Road 309, I believe is what she's saying. I'm trying to click the See More button there. There we go. County Road 309, I believe that was my papa, she said. Amber, we appreciate that tidbit there. I did not know that either. I didn't know we had more than one.
There were several.
Were there really?
Yeah.
See, I would have never known that. See, that's history. See, when I was younger, history wasn't my forte, unfortunately. But now I love it, though. I absolutely love it. You see the back end of the building right now. Again, this is on Front Street, on First Street, I guess you could call it here in Corning, Arkansas. Do we have anybody that has any more stories about the Black Lumber building here, or anybody that might have worked there in the past? Anything, any family members or anything before we move on to our next one? We'll give y'all a second here to jump on. I'm going to put the camera down here. Again, my arm is getting a little tired. I can't, should have kind of stretched it out before we started this, but we're going to close that too. We got several on. Jordan Wilson, Cassie Edwards, Leah Kilbreth is on with us. Jacob Moore, we appreciate you guys for tuning in with us. Marshall Weeks, Marcus Colton, Mitch Brown, Mariana Bowers, Linda Johnson, Christine Hollis, Courtney Hovis, Jerry Emmons, Courtney Kokek. We got several of you guys tuning in with us, and we sure do appreciate it. All right, my man, we don't have any more comments on the Black's Lumber building. What do we got next?
All right, we got the Indian Mound. It's
the Indian Mound, finally.
Right on the corner here.
Finally, we were excited about hitting this Indian Mound, and then he kind of pumped my brakes there a little bit. So, all right, nobody's behind us. We're going to take the flashers off, and we're going to go to the Indian Mound, which I didn't even know existed. Had no idea there was a thing, an Indian Mound here in Corning, Arkansas, but we're about to find out thanks to Mr. Drew Calhoun just as soon as I figure out how to get the vehicle in drive. I'm struggling here, Drew. I don't know what's going on, but definitely struggling here. I'm going to switch you over so you don't see this ugly face and you can see the road where we're going. Now, tell me what I need to do here, bud.
Let's say it's right here, this empty lot right here on the right.
Oh, so this empty lot. Okay, so we got someone behind us, so we're going to circle back around.
All right.
Don't want to get in anybody's way. Don't want to cause any issues with the with traffic or anything like that. So we're going to circle back around here, and in fact, we're going to circle here in this abandoned parking lot, which may even be one of our buildings here in just a minute. I don't know if that's one on the list or not, but we'll talk about it here in just a second. All right, we're going to get you back over here to the Indian Mound here in Corning, Arkansas. And it's just to the right of your screen right here. And we got a stop sign. This is on the corner of West 1st and Pine Street. I guess I should be letting people know where they can kind of see these visuals at. So, all right, what we're going to do is we're going to park right here, get a decent little view of it, and then I'm going to put my flashers on and get out of the way. That's my game plan anyways. Right about there. Actually, I tell you, we may pull over here and these folks' little drive right here. And what I'll do is I will get the sunroof open here. Unbuckle just a little, get the sunroof open, and get you a view of this Indian mound that I didn't even know existed until now. Thanks to Mr. Drew Calhoun.
Say my internet's a little poor here, so my notes aren't loading, but I'll try to go off memory. Let's say this is a pre-European mound that was here long before Corning was here. Originally, there was a house built here, and the house kind of stayed abandoned. No one ever really moved into it. It was they never painted it, so it just kind of sat there and rotted. And early kids in Corning, it was the thing to do on Halloween was to go to the haunted mound house and kind of dare kids to go inside. But later on, I believe in the I don't even know if I should say a date, but maybe 1890s, someone bought the home, tore it down, and when they went to build their home, they excavated the mound, and they found, several arrowheads, pottery, and about 11 skeletons were unearthed.
Wow.
J.M. Oliver Jr., who was one of Corning's historians, noted he doesn't really know what happened to these skeletons. They were kind of lost to the sands of time. So I don't really know how you lose 11 bodies. But yeah. Now, whether it's technically an Indian mound, I can't really say because it was never properly excavated. So it's not really known if they just found a high hill to bury their dead or they actually constructed the mound. But it was a Indian burial site.
Well, if you had 11 bodies there, I'd say the aforementioned may be a good possibility. Very interesting, though. You said 11 bodies were found. That's crazy how 11 people would come up missing and no one know. But either way, I think it maybe more the aforementioned there. But does anybody have any history out there that's watching us? Anybody have any history of what Drew was talking about on Halloween night coming out here? And for some reason, that does ring a bell whenever you said that. But I didn't know that this was the location and the spot. Again, this is the Indian Mound or Hill, whatever you want to call it here in Corning, Arkansas on Pine, I think it was, Pine and First.
Yeah.
In the corner of Pine and First. Do we have anybody? We got Blaine Tedder watching with us, Marcy Park, Seelig, Travis Foster, Terry Ladd.
Let's say the house that was built here back in probably late 1890s after they excavated it burnt, I believe, in the early 90s. And I think I made a post about it on the Clay County Memories Facebook page, and I believe Rich Martin said he was working for the fire department at the time.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
If Rich Martin's on here with us right now, let us know about that. Obviously, he's probably got a little bit more of a history and a knowledge of that, I would think. And man, lost a lot of good things in the early 90s, it sounds like.
Oh,
man,
yeah.
that was a bad time for
pretty much the story of Corning. If you see any old building, you just want to know what happened to it. Probably burnt.
Sometime in probably the early 90s is when it happened. So we're going to get you back to us. Anybody else have any questions about the Indian Mound? Any maybe tidbits they want to add along there while we're here and while we're beside it? We'll give you an opportunity to do that. We got Steve Byers watching, Mary Martin, Mark Woods also with us. Of course, Mark is a local businessman here with his barbecue as well. So we're hoping he's doing well. While we have an opportunity, some things that we're doing here at CSR before we go on to Drew's next venture here for us. He's got us going all over the place, but that's good. That's a good thing. It's going to be Friday night. We're going to call it Friday night game night. That's right, Friday night game night. And every Friday night, we're going to do a little game night. And what we're going to do, I'm not a gamer. I'm horrible at that stuff. I don't play very much at all. My kids play a little bit, so every once in a while I'll play with them. But we're going to try to find some kind of game that we can all play online, all of us, and we can kind of challenge each other and do it while on the live stream. I think it'll be a lot of fun. Just a little something to do every Friday night from now on. So be looking for that Friday night game night. And, again, that's this Friday. It'll be the first night of us doing that. So, all right, what do you got next, Drew?
Next, we have the side of the hanging tree.
Side of the hanging tree. Man, that's that just has a lot of I don't know, interesting stories behind it, I'm sure. And I think I know where that's at. I think I know where that's at, but just in case I get off track, you
is at the intersection of 2nd and Lucian Avenue. So you can probably just go down this road.
This guy's good, guys. He knows everything. Intersection of 2nd and what was it again?
Lucian Avenue.
Lucian Avenue, guys. This is the hanging tree, from my understanding here. Amber Leach says, I burnt it in 2000. Renee Hayes' mother lived there. Well, there's your culprit right there, Amber. Amber Leach, she burned that thing to the ground. You better not. It's an old movie. I don't know if anybody
It says
caught
it
that.
burned. That's
okay.
she. Yeah.
Oh, I thought she burned it down. I was giving a little movie reference there. I was hoping somebody would have caught that, but nobody did. Anyways, in 2000, which is not the early 90s, so that little
Rich is
that little
watching
jinx.
now. So
now Rich tunes in with us. Yeah, we needed you.
About it.
Where were you at when we needed you, Rich? Thanks for nothing. No, I'm kidding. Rich is a good dude. We appreciate you for tuning in. We're going to our next spot, which is the hanging tree, and we're going to switch cameras here because we got a train coming right at us. And we'll get you the front view here. We're going to the location of the old hanging tree here in Corning, Arkansas. I'm very excited to hear some history on this. And, Drew, make sure I don't miss my turn here, buddy. I don't want to.
I think it's next one.
Next one, okay.
Should be.
I don't know how you remember all of this, but you've done a fantastic job so far. And we appreciate you.
I'm a map guy. I look at maps, so I memorize them.
This is your thing then.
Yeah.
This is Drew's thing. We're going to hook her right here. This is on the corner of West 1st and Lucian Avenue. We're going to hook her out as you see the train coming in there off of 1st Street here, rolling in hot and heavy, and got the whistle a-blowing. We're going to wave at them. There we go. All right, Drew, make sure I don't miss it here.
Let's say it's right here at the intersection.
Okay. If anybody knows any history on the hanging tree here in Corning, Arkansas, we'd love to hear it. All right, so we are now at West 2nd and Lucian Avenue here in Corning, Arkansas.
See, during the history of Clay County, when it was incorporated, Corning was made the county seat, but they soon figured out, due to the geography of the county, eastern residents during the springtime, due to the floods of the Black and Cache rivers, couldn't get to the Corning Courthouse. So during this period of time, they moved the county seat from Corning to Boydsville, which really didn't fix the problem because now people west of the Black and Cache River couldn't get to the courthouse.
Yeah.
So eventually, they split the county between Corning and Boydsville, and later they held an election to move it to Piggott.
Wow. Now, when did that happen?
I don't have the dates with me, but this was all before the 19th century.
So essentially, we were the original, and the folks from, I guess I'm assuming, Piggott and Boydsville and Pollard and Rector, and they were having issues getting across. Obviously, we didn't have paved roads back then and cars, obviously. So they were having issues because of low water spots, flooding, things of that nature, of getting over to us. Gotcha. Okay.
And, there was no levee system back then, so, the whole town of Corning would flood also. There was nothing, no ditches, no drainage or anything. But due with them moving the courthouse over to Boydsville, it left Corning really with no law protection. So most of Corning's population were a lot of the early residents, like the Harbs and the Olivers, were all, they were Yankees that came from, like, Indiana and Illinois and other places.
Oh, wow.
And, Corning was a Reconstruction-era county. But that really did not stop the influence and other people who were members of the Ku Klux Klan from coming in. They really set up in the towns of Vidite, which is now known as Palatka, and the community of Cane Hill, which is now known as Moark.
Okay.
That was really their headquarters, and they kind of patrolled there at the state lines.
That's really intriguing. I've never heard that. That's really, really interesting.
But this area at the time was known as Goose Pasture. And then where the courthouse square is in Corning was known as Young's Grove because it was the Young's edition at the time. But in this area, the Klansman Luther Bent Taylor was hung on Friday, April the 21st in 1852 for the crime of murdering his fellow Klansman, Riley Black. Riley Black, who was from Palatka, he attempted to leave the Klan, which didn't set...
Is a no-no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't think there was actually any proof, but they just kind of knew. So he was executed on that date. And
that's just people just kind of taking it into their own hands and just getting it. Like you said, there really wasn't even any proof or anything. But, again, just people kind of taking it to their own hands and handling business, I guess you could say.
Yeah. But so he was kept in the the Corning didn't have the jail that was by the courthouse at the time, so he was kept in the little calaboose, which was a one-celled kind of jail, which is the old Courier downtown.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of built there where their warehouse is in the alley. But he was housed there, but for even more protection, he was put on the train and shipped to Little Rock to be housed in a jail until his trial date.
Okay.
So they were fearing that people would come and try to break him out of jail and rally up. But another thing that Luther Bent Taylor did, he bushwhacked the Justice of the Peace, Judge Kilgore.
Oh, wow.
Which, if you live any of the townships around Corning, you know most of them are named after Judge Kilgore. Like I live in Cleveland, North Kilgore, and then south of Corning is Gleghorn, South Kilgore.
Wow.
So a lot of those townships was named after different people from those era. But the second and last legal hanging that took place in Corning was that of Lafayette Melton. He murdered Frank Hale in January of 1885. I don't really have much information on
that
what really
specific,
took that.
what happened there.
But those were the only two legal hangings that took place in Corning. And
it was right here in this. We obviously probably don't know what whether there's a tree still up that it would have been or anything like that. This is so long ago. We don't have a clue, but we know it's in this area right here, and which is really, really interesting. And you said we had two total hangings again right here off of the intersection of Lucian Avenue, which is the street that we're on right now, and West 2nd Street. Which is the street that you're seeing right there. So somewhere around this area right here is what Drew is talking about. And again, like you mentioned on the first one, I mean, it was just essentially people taking it into their own hands. Whether they heard or knew this guy was leaving their group, they didn't take too kindly to it. And next thing you know, there's whether you want to call it a public hanging, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, happened right here in this area that you're looking at here on the live stream. So very, very interesting stuff. Drew, I didn't know that. I didn't know. I've always heard of of there was a hanging tree here in Corning, but I never knew exactly where the location would have been, and didn't know if anybody ever actually even got hung there. So that's really, really interesting stuff there. And I don't know if anybody else on the live stream. We got Colin Wilson, Kelly Amon, Myrna Stacy, Lyndon Banks, Virginia Kate, Tara Kegley. Miss Brees is on there with us as well. Has anybody else got any interesting tidbits or history about the hanging tree here?
I think it's important to mention the location because a lot of people, the sources I found is actually kind of funny because the sources I found about where it was based on where people thought it was. And even in my generation, people thought it was somewhere else. My generation, there was where the flagpole was. There in Main Street, there was a tree, and people always said that was the hanging tree.
A big tree, too, by the way,
very
big tree.
They said it was there because of the police station, but you got to think, that police station was built in the 60s, and if you look by the front door, it says City Hall. So it wasn't even the police station.
Yeah.
When Corning was built, that's where the depot was. So they're not going to have people hanging right where people would be getting off who would want to stay or buy commerce in the town. It really doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And then the other one was how I found out about this. Back in the 60s, they were tearing down a big tree in the courthouse square, and people were talking about they're tearing down the hanging tree, and J.M. Oliver Jr. was like, what are you talking about? That's not the hanging tree. And then so he goes through all the stories, and he mentioned it was at the intersection of 2nd Street and Myrtle Street. There's not a Myrtle Street.
Oh, okay. So you're a map guy, so you might know.
So I had to go through a whole bunch of old maps because so many street names have changed in Corning. And actually, at one point, I had the wrong street because I remembered it wrong. I had it as Arnold, but I looked at it again. It was Lucian.
So this is right here, and again, I don't know the layout of the early establishment of Corning necessarily. Obviously, you got the railroad right behind us. I know the railroad's obviously been there for a little while, but we got some older buildings that are more downtown that way. So this wasn't too far from kind of where everything was happening, is my understanding. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was just south of the courthouse square. This at the time, there was nothing developed here, so it was just kind of out of the way to kind of have it out of the town.
Gotcha. So, folks, that is the history of the hanging tree. And Mary Martin has got a long one here for us. Let's read this one as we got Colin Wilson and Chris McMullen on with us. Mary Martin says, history about the county seat. First county seat was established in Corning in 1873 with the arrival of St. Louis. Am I saying that right? I don't know. Iron Mountain and the Southern Railway. County seat was then moved to Boydsville in 1877. Then in 1881, just 4 years later, the county seat was reestablished in Corning, and in 1887, the Eastern District was moved to Piggott. That's her information obtained from the Wikipedia.
When they had the election for the Eastern District, the candidates for that, because Eastern Clay just got the Cotton Belt, built a railroad through there, and their candidates was Piggott, Greenway, and Rector. Piggott got first, Rector got second, and Greenway got third in the election.
So there was a voting, I guess, of everybody around that area, and Piggott won that election. And by the way, that county seat is still there.
Yep,
still there.
It was just as much of a controversy back then as it is now. Probably even more so back then, because when they first threatened to move the courthouse from Corning to Boydsville, the citizens of Corning said they were going to form a necktie party, which that doesn't mean like necktie, that means nooses.
Oh, wow.
Meaning they were going to go over to Boydsville, what they called the hillbillies, and lynch them.
Wow.
So
that's really interesting. Yeah. I've never heard that one, so my goodness. Is there any truth? I heard this, Drew, and I don't know if it's true or not. It was, again, just hearsay, but that Piggott was supposed to open up this county seat for only so many years until the road and stuff was built, and then they would essentially go back to having one. Is that true, or is there?
I heard that once. I heard that as soon as there was an adequate bridge built on the Black River that would connect them.
That was it, bridge, yeah.
I haven't seen a source of that. I was told that, but I'm not sure.
Okay, folks. This was the hanging tree portion of this segment. What do we have next on your list? I know we got several of them there. What's after the hanging tree?
On the list,
here?
I had the courthouse here.
The courthouse. Okay, so folks, this was a good transition here. Drew had his ducks in a row, obviously, so we're not far from it. It kind of leads into it with the hanging tree here. So our next spot is a courthouse. If you got anybody that's ever worked there, any kind of history, any kind of funny stories, I've got one. I actually used to live over by. So as we got Tessie Clifton, Jared Yancey, Jerry Lynn Veneta, and Brittany Reynolds all tuning in with us. I'm going to flip the camera here for a second, and we're going to head over to the courthouse here in Corning, Arkansas. I'm going to check behind us, no one behind us. Take our flashers off, and here we go on our way to the courthouse. Folks, we appreciate everybody for tuning in. Let us know what you're doing today. I know it's a Sunday, and I know a lot of things have changed in our world right now, and it's I'm just very curious to see kind of what you're doing to pass the time, and let us know where you're tuning in from and what you're doing to pass the time as we're doing a little trip down memory lane here, strolling through the kind of historic hot spots of Corning, Arkansas, our home. And I'm going to let that car come on by here for both of us get splashed pretty hard. There we go. Again, we appreciate y'all for tuning in with us. If you don't mind, share the feed here. This is kind of some really neat, not only just a stream, but kind of a really neat historic stuff about the city of Corning here and some of the neat spots that we're strolling through here today on a Sunday. And, Drew, we are coming right up on the courthouse here, and we will find a decent spot to park and get out of the way of everybody. And then I will give you a different view of it. That was really weird. I was looking at our phone, which lags a little bit.
Yeah.
And I was going to turn in here, and it looked like that car was coming. I'm like, whoa. Very interesting stuff there. So, all right, I'm going to get the camera out here, and we're going to go over the western side, the western seat here, or the Clay County Courthouse, and here is the picture of it.
Let's say this is the fourth courthouse that was built in Corning. If I get my notes to load, which I probably won't. But this,
Go figure.
oh, here we go. Like we said, this is the county seat of justice for the Western District of Corning. The Clay County, as we mentioned, or Clayton County rather, was formed May the 16th in 1873. But like somebody mentioned earlier, the Black and Cache Rivers kind of split the county in half. So they originally moved the courthouse from Corning to Boydsville, but that only just moved the problem to the other side of the river because now Corning couldn't get to the courthouse. So they eventually split the courthouses, and that election eventually moved it from Boydsville to Piggott. But this particular building was built after the third courthouse in Corning. It was a two-story Romanesque style building with a huge tower. It caught on fire in, I believe, 1963. Yeah, January the 25th, 1963, and it burnt to the ground. So a group of individuals stepped up and they said, well, it's time to get a new courthouse in Corning. Corning needs one. And around the same time, Piggott's courthouse was in very rough shape. Interestingly enough, if you go to the National Register nomination form and it talks about the old courthouse in Corning, it was practically condemned with the conditions it was in. It was in need of several updates, and they said this whole thing could burn down. And
Wow.
it burned down.
Wow. and it just so happened to burn down.
But
Yeah.
see, this one was built by the firm of Don Ellen and Porterfield in 1966. The architectural style is it's called New Formalism. It was a little, I guess you could say, sect of mid-century modern. It kind of exemplifies kind of polygonism, as you can see. The center courtroom is built as a square, and then there's a hallway all around it with four other quadrants, which one has like the front two are bathrooms, and then the back right one is the vault, and then the sheriff's office in the other quadrant of the courthouse. But like I said, around the same time the Piggott Courthouse was in rough shape. They already had to shorten the tower on the courthouse because it was starting to collapse, and the second floor of the other two courthouses were in the Piggott one. It was starting to collapse in. So around the time Corning's burnt, they just decided they might as well tear down Piggott's. And later, as you can see now, Piggott has one that's very similar to Corning. It was built by the same architect, just with a few different changes. And it's actually the only two. There's several double county seats in Arkansas, but it's the only county in Arkansas that has two twin courthouses that look exactly the same.
Wow.
So that's kind of unique for Clay County.
That is very unique, and I seen earlier the memorial over there, the World War I and World War II memorials there with several names. And
I believe it's for those who died in combat. I believe is what the memorial is for. It has the other two sides. I think has Vietnam and Korea, if I believe.
that is really, really neat stuff there. And again, this is the if you see it here on the screen, the Western District, the Clay County Courthouse here in Corning, Arkansas, if you're just tuning in with us. We've got Samantha Hatley. Actually, I'm going to try to get you the other sides of this building. Hopefully nobody's behind us here or to the side of us here.
I don't see anyone behind us.
Okay. All right, we're going to try to get you some more shots of this here if we can. Like you said, kind of a unique design. And just like Drew says, well, the Piggott Courthouse on the eastern side, the Eastern District, is very, very similar. If anybody has ever seen it, very, very similar to this one. And again, you see the kind of the big square in the middle, like Drew had alluded to, and then them kind of shifting off from there as far as the design goes. And it's this way the entire way around the courthouse. Anybody that's ever worked here? Any history here? Any good times here? Anybody that's ever any stories from the courthouse, we'd love to hear them. I know I just one of the joys of my life as a youngster. I don't know if you can see these sidewalks or not here on our screen. You got sidewalk there, sidewalk over there, if you can see that. I used to live pretty close to this at one time, and man, I would get out the old bike and just and ride it. Of course, mom and dad didn't want me riding around on the road, so I couldn't do that, and we lived right across the street. So, but I was allowed to come over here to the courthouse, and I was allowed to ride my bike on the sidewalks here, and there's several of them, and they kind of makeshift into each other, and they go all around the courthouse here, which was, man, that was a blast. So I remember I'd have a few buddies that came with me, and we'd race around the courthouse on our bikes on these sidewalks. So that was always really, really neat. Of course, surrounded by tall, tall trees here. And we appreciate Drew for giving us the history on the Western District's Clay County Courthouse. Again, you see all the sidewalks there. That was just a lot of fun as a youngster. I don't know, probably 9 years old, 10 years old, whatever it was, and built up the calf muscles right here at the courthouse on these sidewalks. So I had a lot of fun there. Again, here's the memorial there we talked about earlier. It was a World War II and World War I. On the other side, though, as we slow down here, you can see that side of the World War II, and then the Korean War, and then below the Korean War is the Vietnam War. And if anybody has any names up there, let us know that they know, maybe any family members or anything like that from this area. So, again, folks, that is the Clay County Courthouse. We got a few here. Katie Manette's on. Jamie Mason's on. Timothy Bachman says, checking in from Savannah, Georgia. I took my driving test that started and finished there forever ago. I got to tell the story about my driver's test now that we're talking about that. I'll never remember who did it. I know there's probably history on that. It's probably documented that who did that for me, so I don't want to get them in trouble or anything, but I'll never forget. It was he gets in with me and said, are you hungry? I said, yeah, I'm hungry. And he said, you know where McDonald's is? I'm like, well, duh, it's this Corning, Arkansas. You know where everything's at. So, and I said, yeah, I know where Corning McDonald's is. And he said, all right, let's go. And we went there and came back and paid for my lunch, and I'll certainly never forget it, and it was really, really neat. So, but anyways, again, guys, that is the Clay County Courthouse there. We're going to get you back over to us here for just a second as Drew is going to get us ready for our next spot.
But the next side is not too far from here. It's on Market Street. It's the Sheik's house. Okay. It's on the Court Square.
All righty. Right here on the corner, right?
Yep.
All right, very good. And, folks, we'll get you onto the camera here so you can almost already see it here just to the left of the screen here. Mary Martin said, my uncle, Charles Tyler, is listed on the Korean War. Oh, well, that's awesome. Well, we sure do appreciate his service. And I know there's a lot of people that were lost in there. And but anyways, he went down brave, I can tell you that. Those guys are a lot braver than I am. I promise you, I never had any aspirations to go join the military of any kind. And so those guys are a lot braver than I am. This is the house here to your right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to back up into this parking spot right here. And I'm going to put our flashers on here and give folks an opportunity to look at it from this camera view. Then I'll get out the other camera and we'll look at it as well. Now, again, Drew, if you don't mind, tell them what this is that we're looking at right here in front of us.
This house right here is the oldest, I believe, the oldest standing structure in Corning. The dates I have is kind of interesting because the dates of the original construction are before 1873, so it's older than the town itself.
Wow.
It was built in 1872 by Ephraim Foster Brown. He had an attorney's office to the left of the current house here in the Court Square. He was actually the guy who drafted the legislation. He was a senator here in Clayton County in this area, and he drafted the legislation to change the name from Clayton County to Clay County. The county was originally named after either Powell Clayton or his older brother John M. Clayton. These figures have kind of grown unfavorable to the area based on what they did. I'm not sure exactly what they did. I think maybe something with they didn't allow this county or this area to vote in one of the elections since they were so new into the state. I can't really remember exactly. But anyway, it made the residents of Corning very angry, so he drafted legislation to switch it from Clayton County. They just shortened it to Clay in honor of Senator Henry Clay from Kentucky, and that kind of secured Clay County in being Democrat in politics for several years after that. But later on, Mr. Brown, he sold his home to Edgar Van Buren Sheeks in 1878, and he moved to Jonesboro and continued practicing law, and that's where he stayed, and he's died, and he's buried in Jonesboro. But Mr. Sheeks bought the house, and he would start his career by owning a lumber mill here in town. He would partner with George W. Stevens, who was the first mayor, and he was also the postmaster of Corning, and before it was Corning, he was the postmaster of Heck City before the transition. They would later partner up and start a store by the name of Sheik Stevens Store, which was on the corner lot here of 2nd Market, so to the right of this house. And then after that, he opened the first cotton gin in Corning, and he also became the first manager of the first electric light plant when electricity came to Corning. This original house, it was kind of a rectangular shaped. If you look at it now, it's more square. In 1908, it was heavily remodeled. It was built as a colonial-style house, but as you can see, the front portico, which was added in the 1908 renovations, added these Greek-style columns, so it kind of mixed colonialism with Greek revival. Other than that, the house really hasn't changed much since 1908, and it was added to the National Register of Historical Places in 1975.
That's awesome. That is really, really neat, and a laundry list of stuff there to talk about on this one, especially from the individual, obviously, but also the house itself. And again, this is facing where if you're inside that house right now and you're facing, or you're walking out the front door there, you're facing the courthouse here. But again, you said this was actually built and constructed before even the town of Corning was actually, I guess, established, I guess is the right word.
Right.
To use, and again, that was 1873. So this is really, really neat stuff. We'll get you the other camera so I can put this one down for a second. Really, really cool story there. If anybody has any stories about this house, we've got several comments here. I'm going to try to get to these. One, Travis Wilcutt said something. Check your text. I sent you a newspaper clipping. All right, awesome. I'll definitely check it here in just a second. I'm going to go through his comments. So first, Brenda George is watching. Katrina Holt. Ryan Carter's also with us. We appreciate him. He's also with the Growing Corning Together. Lolita Wright said, I worked there for 30 years. My brother's name is on the Korean War. He was captured 7/20 of 1950. Really interesting stuff there, Miss Wright. We appreciate you for sharing that with us. Don Hopkins Jr., Renee Hayes. Timothy says, appreciate all of those on the monuments service to Corning and the United States of America, and I totally agree 100% with that. I mentioned earlier they're a lot braver than I am. I can't imagine, at that age being in a war, or actually any age, really. I really just can't even fathom it. So we all appreciate them, and just like Miss Wright, just like her brother, that's really, really neat stuff. So Logan Hartwig's tuned in with us, Dalton Hollingsworth, Landon Thomas. I'm going to go off the comments for just a second. I'm going to leave it right here on the Chic House here in case there's any comments about it, any kind of history that anybody may have, or any kind of family that may have known the family at any time, or whatever it may be. I'm going to go check and see exactly what Travis has sent me here. I have actual newspaper clippings that my grandpa Fan left me when he died on the hanging tree used as punishment. This will be really interesting. Again, folks, we just left the hanging tree here. I'm going to let Drew try to read this here if he can for us.
So I can probably take it out of this, can I?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, just for the time being, it won't hurt at all. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Awesome. Lafayette Melton. Lafayette Melton was, awesome. I guess it depends how you look at it. Lafayette Melton was sentenced to hanging by the jury in August last year. Failed in his efforts to get his sentence lightened, and Governor Hughes set the execution date for Friday, January the 29th. The condemned prisoner was brought to Corning from Little Rock Penitentiary by the night train January the 28th and spent the night in the courthouse. After breakfast, he was allowed to have visitors, and the courtroom was filled until noon. When he was served his last meal, the march to the scaffold in the Goose Pasture began at 1 p.m. Melton was pronounced dead at 1:35, and his body was cut down and placed in the coffin, buried beside that of Bent Taylor, who was hung in 1882. The two graves are outside the gates of the Corning Cemetery. Melton was just 23 years old, and many had signed a petition for clemency. However, others signed petitions for the carrying out of the verdict. The terror of the Ku Klux Klan takeover from 1877 to 1882 was too recent to rouse compassion. A note on Bent Taylor and Lafayette Melton. They were originally buried outside the gates of the Corning Cemetery against the railroad. However, as I said, Luther Bent Taylor was from Palatka. He was eventually he was dug up and he was buried in the Black Cemetery in the town of Palatka. Both graves are unmarked.
Wow.
But he was eventually moved. So it's only Lafayette Melton who's buried against the railroad here in town.
That is really cool stuff, Travis. I'm glad you.
Thank you for sending me that.
Yeah, that's really neat stuff. And whoever you said, I think you said his grandpa had kept it. They kept it in good shape because it's readable off this picture. Really, really neat stuff there. Make sure nobody had any messages for me here. Okay, all right, very good. Okay, what's next?
I guess we go to the First Baptist Church.
First Baptist Church is next. And I'm going to try to keep the comments up here, but the charger's not keeping up with my phone here. But we'll work on that. We'll figure that out. Again, we've got Lynn Thomas, Dalton Hollingsworth. All right, so the First Baptist Church is next, guys. I'm going to get you turned around here so you can see the front here, and we'll get going. And we're not too far, I don't believe, from there. So here we go, folks. Again, thanks, everybody, for tuning in with us. This is Corning Sports Report. This is our trip down memory lane, if you will.
Sure. If y'all have any sites you'd want to see or talk about, leave them in the comments.
Yeah, absolutely, because we're all about learning some new stuff, and I've definitely learned some new stuff already today. It's been kind of neat and interesting. So we're going to go off to the First Baptist Church,
right there,
which I believe is right here. You're going to see it on the right hand, or we're going to make a right here, and you'll be able to see it as we are on the corner of 3rd and Market, and the church is actually going to sit on the other, I believe that's
3rd and Olive.
Okay, 3rd and Olive. So, and that's where we're going right now, to the corner of 3rd and Olive. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to, there's a parking lot over there. I actually may park right over here at first, put our flashers on, and we're going to hit our next spot. Again, folks, this is the First Baptist Church here in Corning, Arkansas. Hey, if there's any church members that go there, we'd love to hear about that. I'm going to get the camera out here for just a second. Try to get some things situated here if we can. It's a little tough doing this from a car, folks, and we apologize. We probably haven't done the best job of streaming this. And honestly, this wasn't supposed to be from a car today, but some things happened in our planning, and that's life. That is just life. Yeah. So here we are. Again, this is the First Baptist Church. Drew, if you want to go ahead and take it away, buddy.
Sure. The First Baptist here in Corning was organized on the 30th of April, 1887 by the Reverend A.S. Hall. Before the Baptists actually had a church here in the corner of 3rd and Olive, they were meeting at different spots. Sometimes they would have their congregation in the courthouse. Occasionally they would meet in the Methodist Episcopal South Church, which was at the time the only church building in Corning, which is where the current United Methodist Church is. The original church was built on land donated by Sylvanus Bishop. He was an early member of the church. He helped, him and his wife helped start the music program and the choir there back in the 1880s. And the balcony window, which you see above the front doors there, those were actually, on this church and all the churches before it, those windows were dedicated in memory of the Bishop family. They donated the land that the first church was built on. The first church was built at the cost of $1,000. Later on, they built a second one, and They remodeled it. They added Gothic-style windows. It was a small little wood frame church with a steeple. Over time, that building kind of got worn to the weather, and it was starting to lean. So they decided that in 1939, they were going to build a modern brick building so it would last longer. So they got with the architect Arthur McAnick, and they got Aaron Arndt to be the construction supervisor. And they built a new building in 1939, and that building served all the way to December the 31st, 1947, when it was struck by lightning and it burnt to the ground.
Wow.
So they got together with Arthur McAnick. I believe that's how you say his name. And
I'm glad it's you doing this and not me. Yeah.
They rebuilt the church, and it was built the exact same way, except they added an extra 16 feet to the back of the church, which created a parlor and a library, because at the time, Corning didn't have a library, so they housed the library inside the church, and they also added a third floor.
That is awesome. That's a really, really nice church right there, folks. I know there's some people here that obviously probably even on our stream right now that are regulars here at the First Baptist Church. So we're going to give you a little bit different view of it from right here. Beautiful building and interesting story about how it's changed over time, obviously. And he mentioned the windows earlier, too. And that's just neat stuff. And I know you mentioned the windows above the door opening there, too. Really, really cool stuff. And good-sized church, especially for a small town like Corning, Arkansas. And obviously it's, I hate using the word ancient, but very, very old. And that's what I like. That's kind of neat, and that it's still preserved and still going. So, and I know they're doing good there, the First Baptist Church, and doing good things there. Do we have anybody that maybe goes here or maybe has any stories about the First Baptist Church here in Corning, Arkansas? I seen something earlier. Shane Calhoun. Rich Martin, I'd like to see history of the Button Factory or the Pickle Factory.
So I can take you to the Button Factory.
Okay. We might do that, Rich. Don't let us forget. We've got a list of things here, but Allie Clark's on, Kelly Bounds, Nicole Hickson, Jim Mizell's on with us, Trina Phillips, and Corey Godwin's also on with us. Miss Wilcutt and Miss Sechrist is on, Miss Brenda Wilcutt-Sechrist, and Teresa Vanoy. Do we have anybody that's got anything about the First Baptist Church here before we leave?
I guess I could say one thing. The architect, he was a native Arkansas architect. He built several buildings in Arkansas. His main style was Tudor, which obviously this building is. Within the same style, he also built the, I believe, V.C. Case House, which is one of the founders of Arkansas State University. The house there on campus was built by the same architect, and it has like the same style of brick and everything. And I just recently found out he also constructed or designed the old Little Rock Baptist Church, which, if you look at the inside of the sanctuary, it has a Tudor-style arch, and our church, as well as the Little Rock Baptist Church, kind of has that same style.
That's awesome. That is fantastic. Again, folks, that's the First Baptist Church here in Corning, Arkansas, and we've got several of these down, and several. I think we got several more to go here. Yeah. We had talked about some other things earlier. Before we hit our next one, though, I was going to ask you, Drew. I've always been curious about this. I know Prohibition days were way back in the day, but I know we're a dry county now. But have we always been a dry county here in Clayton County or Clay County? So that's not the case, you're saying?
That wasn't the case.
Okay.
Up until around the era of Prohibition, it was officially made a dry county. From stories I've read, of course, I could be wrong. I could remember wrong. A lot of the pubs were on kind of in between the churches, so a lot of people would go out on Saturday nights, and they would get out of the pub Sunday morning while this whole street here had the Baptists, the Methodists, and the Christians. Yeah. While they were trying to worship on Sunday, it's kind of hard when there's drunk people screaming, running around the streets. Yeah. So it would eventually voted to make the county dry. And it's funny because the name of the article that was in the Courier that had the picture of them at the courthouse signing the legislation was called "The End of Fun City."
The End of Fun City.
Yep.
Wow, that's very very clever little tag there, a little verbal jab at it there, but that's interesting. I just assumed it was always, a dry county. I did not know that, so that's very, very interesting to know. A little bit of history there for you guys at home as we got Josh Raspberry. Hey, I think
he's right there.
Hey, is that Josh right there? Is that Josh?
That's Josh.
Hey, Josh! He's waving at us there, so we just got First Baptist Church. Obviously, he's here with them, so we appreciate Josh for that. What's next on the agenda here?
Someone mentioned the Pearl Button Factory. I guess we can go out there.
All right, let's do it, man. Let's absolutely do it. I'm going to put this back here to the side here of us, if you don't mind there, Drew.
Sure.
Put that right there for just a second, and I'm going to switch your view here, and we're going to head over to
so it looks like Josh is coming this way.
Is Josh coming over here? I don't know. We're going to find out. We're going to head over to the Button Factory if we can. As Josh is walking. I don't know if he's walking over towards us or not, but we might at least just say hi to him anyways. So, how's it going?
Hey.
Would you like to say anybody to the viewers here? Let's see if we can get anything you want to say to our viewers. We're live right now. Yeah, we're doing a live stream right now. Everybody wave at Josh there, and we're just admiring your beautiful church here, doing a little bit of history of Corning right now. And is there any unique things about this church that you know that you might want to add? I could just hand over I just hand that over to you, and there we go.
Gosh, I feel so official now.
I know, man. It looks good on you.
Well, I don't know what all Drew covered, but I know he knows this history at least as well as I do, maybe more. But I know this is, I think, the fourth building on this corner since 1887, I think.
I think so.
And it's actually the second one that looks almost identical to this. There was one that burned down, and this one replaced it. But, yeah, First Baptist Church has been on this corner since the late 1800s, and trying to be effective and growing and doing what we can do. We just did some remodeling over the last really couple of years. We replaced a couple of roofs and replaced the roof on this one and repainted some things, trying to make it look trying to take care of it so it can keep going. So anyway, today has been weird for a lot of churches.
Yeah.
We're just trying to make it work as best we can, but thankful for technology.
Absolutely,
sure.
Josh. We appreciate you. We
You
appreciate
betcha.
what you're doing. Obviously, like you said, it's I don't know if anybody can hear me or not, but it's not very normal right now with everything that's going on. Has all this stuff kind of changed, obviously, for you guys? Are y'all currently having any church sessions right now with people involved, or what are y'all doing right now with that with everything going on?
Yeah, we haven't been able to meet in person. Most everything we do has more than 10 people, so that's been part of the issue. And we're doing our best, to balance the, we want to meet as the church, but we're also want to be good stewards and good community citizens as well. And so we're trying to balance that out a little bit. But, we can still have our praise team got together and recorded our service for this morning. So we can have smaller groups that do things like that, maybe some committee meetings, things of that nature. But mostly we're just trying to be active as the church out in the community. So one-on-one, going to people's houses, and myself and the deacons and others checking in on people that might need help and things like that, and doing the best we can. And, if there's anybody that needs anything, that needs groceries picked up or medicine picked up, anything like that, we have people that have made themselves available to do that. And we'll do what we can until we're able to meet in person again.
That's awesome stuff, man. We appreciate you. I know we speak for everybody. When you got a church like First Baptist here that's very community based and wanting to help out, especially in a time like this, I know I speak for everyone when I say thank you for that.
We appreciate it. We're just glad to be here and do what we can.
So, awesome.
All right.
Guys, that's Josh Raspberry there. He's with First Baptist Church here, and we appreciate him taking time to speak with us there. So we caught him out there, caught him napping, and we're waking up. No, I'm kidding. He's a busy man. So thank you again. We appreciate you, buddy. Absolutely. Thanks, man. Take care.
See ya.
So anyway, that's Josh Raspberry there. Really neat that he was able to come out there. And, of course, obviously with everything going on, this is a crazy time for all of us, unfortunately. It really is. And that's really changed the way they do things, even down to the smallest thing you can imagine. So if you've got a business out there and you're local here in Corning and you want us to stop by, if you want to get a little bit of airtime, let everybody know that you're still open. Let everybody know what you're doing with all this. We've got several businesses here that's being affected by this. We'd love to come give you some airtime. I know we typically have several thousand that view this, so we want to help you out in any way that we can. So if you're listening right now and you got a business here in town, holler at us. We'll stop by. we can get the camera on you just kind of how we did there with Josh, and get your information out there for your company and what's going on and how you're handling that right now. So we got Eric Arnold's watching, Cody Russum, George Zayas says DOS live streaming service. James Varvel will do a live streaming service. Actually, George, we've got a church right now that we're working with, and next Sunday I think that's what we'll be doing. We'll be doing a church sermon and session for them because of everything that's going on right now. So Miss Rapert's on. We appreciate you. Now, where were we heading? I got a little distracted there.
The Button Factory.
The Button Factory.
Yeah.
We're going to the Button Factory, so I'm gonna flip your camera around for just a second so you ain't to look at this ugly face anymore. And we're going to head to the Button Factory. Now, I'm going to tell you the truth, Drew. I don't have a clue where I'm going, so I'm hoping that you will.
I say it'd be on the other side of the railroad.
The other side of the railroad. So what I'm going to do is make an illegal U-turn here. If anybody's watching, please don't let them know that I'm doing this. So make an illegal U-turn. All right, here we go. This is on the corner of Olive and West 3rd where First Baptist Church was.
You can just
I'm sorry.
Straight from here.
Straight shooter, you're saying. All right, we're going to come right across here as Cody Russum says y'all are doing awesome things, brother. Hey, we appreciate you, Cody. Really, really do. We're trying and trying to help out the town right now. We're growing corn together. I know we're doing some things on the back end, trying to help out as well. And we want to see this town thriving again, alive and thriving and doing well. And any way that we can help with that. And it's weird, this live streaming stuff. I never even thought about it in a million years, but when we first started thinking about it, that was one of the first things we thought about. Man, maybe we can help some of the businesses in town as well. And so there's a lot of things I don't know about with history of corning, and this is really fun. So I'm actually learning some things today, and I'm so glad that we did this.
Be off to the right here.
Be off the right. Ryan Carter said the tracks might be blocked by the mill. Okay, well, we'll keep that in mind, Ryan.
Yeah, I saw one of the crossings looked like it was blocked.
Well, we're going to hit it like Dukes of Hazzards if we have to, and we'll honk the horn as we go by, get a little airtime here. I'm sure my fiance would love that in her car.
See, maybe we can cross down here the other crossing.
Well, we're going to find out. We're about to find out. So
we can always turn around.
Here's one of them right here, and it is, just as Ryan had mentioned, it is blocked off. Keep out, don't cross, keep out. I think that's pretty obvious that they don't want us crossing that one. We're going to try the next one for the Button Factory. Am I understanding that right? The Button Factory. I have heard that before in one of our Growing Corning Together meetings, but I truly had no idea before that we had a Button Factory. And if anybody else out there knew about that or maybe worked there or anything like that, we'd love to hear it while we're on this live stream. And we're hoping we're coming in clear. This is the first time we've ever done this like this. This is kind of a mobile stream, and it's really, really weird. Ryan Carter says Black's Mill, 150 year. Maybe 150 years old. Is that what he's meaning, maybe?
Maybe.
I'm not sure. Ryan, let us know exactly what you meant by that one. We're going to turn here on Black Drive and First in the corner.
See, I don't know if they have the road through Black's blocked if they had that crossing.
Yeah, it looks like they. Of course, there's a house back here, obviously, so they're not going to block this off.
Yeah, they have the whole mill blocked off.
The whole mill is now blocked off. So, but now, are we close enough on this end, or do we need to be on the other end to kind of speak about the Button Factory?
The other end, yeah.
The other end. Okay, so what we're going to do is before we start talking about that, and before Drew alludes on the Button Factory, we're going to turn back around. Turn around. That's right. Every stream I got to sing something, so there we go. Bonnie Tyler, a little turn around. Everybody at home right now is yelling at their TV. Every now and then I get a... Yeah. All right, we're going to try to give this young lady here a little bit of room if we can. We'll wave at her as she goes by. Very nice, very nice. Stop sign here, and here we go. We'll go on the other side of this, and this is going to be Rich Martin is serving this one up. This is on the menu, and Rich ordered the Button Factory. That wasn't normally, I don't think that was originally on our list of things, was it? No, it wasn't originally on our list of stuff to cover, but we're going to cover it anyways.
We can add it.
We can detour just a little bit and cover the Button Factory. Again, guys, Friday night, CSR is going to have the Friday night game night. We'll be doing that every Friday night until we get back onto some...
it'd be this white building here in the corner here.
All right, so what we'll do is we'll get up here pretty close, but want to mention this too here real quick if I can. This Friday night game night, folks. Again, we're going to be doing this here pretty soon, every Friday night to kind of give you a little something. Is it that one right there?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to turn around, then I'll get on this gravel over here. But we're going to give you something to do with us that's we can do without having to meet up and gather up. We can do it online. My understanding is there's a such thing as online gaming now. I did not know that was a thing, but evidently you can game online now. So we will try to do that coming up this Friday. We'll let you know what we're going to play, and you guys can jump in with us online and actually be on the live stream playing against us. So we're really, really excited about that. We cannot wait. I'm going to pull in right here, and I'm going to put my flashers on is what I'm going to do. And we're going to stop. And, folks, we are about to show you the button factory. Is that correct? Is that my understanding?
Yep.
The button factory. So here we go with it. I am going to get the camera out, and I'm going to give you a little view of that. And I'm going to switch over to this camera as we have some people going by there. And here we go. This right here is the old button factory. Drew, do you know any kind of information on it?
This was, I don't have the dates really written down because it wasn't really on my list, but it was one of the earlier industries back when this was technically, I guess you say, Corning's first industrial park. Obviously, you had J.W. Black's Lumber Mill, and then you had the Boozer Stave Company, and you also had the Wisconsin Pearl Button Factory. It was a firm out of Wisconsin, and they called this the Dixie plant of it because it was in the South.
Very nice. I like that. The Dixie plant.
They harvest freshwater mussel shells from the Black River, and they made pearls or buttons on jackets and stuff. It was in operation until the ecosystem of the mussel shells was dwindling, and so they wouldn't go completely extinct. And none around here, they shut the plant down temporarily, planning to reopen it when the population of mussels grew up some. But by the time the population grew up, it was more economical to bake buttons elsewhere, and also, other materials such as plastic, which most buttons were starting to be made out of. So the plant never reopened, and eventually it'd be bought out like it is by Blacks now, and they used it as their, I believe it's a tool shed, is where their maintenance building is what they used it for.
That is awesome right there. That is the old button factory as Kathy Godwin tunes in with us, Madison White, Rob and Cindy Barnett. We appreciate them. I know they work at the radio station over here. We may even hit the radio station here before we leave too. Leanne Tyler, Jeremy Wiedemann. Cindy Art said, "Oh wow, guys, this is great. Learning so much about our town. Appreciate you both doing this." Hey, Cindy, we appreciate you for tuning in and joining us here because I'm the same way, Cindy. I'm actually learning a lot myself. Drew is very knowledgeable, and at his age, you don't get that way. Just you got to have a passion for it, and I think Drew does. He really, really does, and we're lucky to have him, and lucky to have him on this live stream right now too. Because I honestly could not have told you that was the old button factory. I've learned another new thing. I've learned so many new things today. But does anybody have any stories about the button factory while we've got it on here on the camera screen? If you do, let us know. Comment in there with us.
I know we can't go over there right now, but you can still. Me and Ryan went out there one day and we walked around. You can still find old mussel shells that are just thrown about around the building.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's very interesting. That's really cool stuff. So
a lot of them, if you can get the whole ones, you can see where the holes where they popped the buttons out of.
Where they popped them out of,
yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That's really cool. Guys, again, that is now, of course, Black's building obviously owns the Blacks on that, but that used to be the button factory here in Corning, Arkansas. A little piece of history there. No one's mentioned anything yet as Mark Lucas tunes in with us. All right, guys, I'm going to put the camera down, get you back on to us. And, again, if y'all guys don't if you don't mind, let us know what you're doing today. I know it's a Sunday, and typically there's a lot of different things to do, but obviously they want us to practice some social distancing and some different things as far as large gatherings. They don't like to see that right now either, so for pretty obvious reasons. So I'd be really interested to know what everybody's doing and to pass the time right now. I know it's tough for everybody. Again, Mark Lucas is with us, Kim and Randy McCollum. We've got Dalton Hollingsworth in Erie, Pennsylvania, learning about my hometown. That's awesome, man. Erie, Pennsylvania. That is really, really cool. I don't know how far that is from Corning, Arkansas, but I'd imagine that's a good little tote. So, Dalton, we appreciate you for tuning in. All right, Drew, what's next on the agenda here?
If nobody's got any suggestions, I guess we could go to
Dalton Hollingsworth, hang on, we do have a suggestion here. Dalton Hollingsworth says, honestly, I was going to say the radio station. You know, we had Robin and Cindy Barnett on earlier, and they work for the radio station. Do you want to go, well, at least just show them the radio station real quick? So we're going to do that. Folks, I'm going to flip you around again. Turn you around. Here's a little spin cycle. There we go. Get you back on the front of the car there, and we are going to back it up, just making sure no one's around us. And I think we're free here. We're going to turn our flashers off, and then we will get going to the Corning radio station, which, by the way, folks, is 93.5 on your FM radio dial. If you guys are out driving around right now, or if you got a radio at home, 93.5 is our local. I believe it's More Music 93.5 is what it's tabbed. As Riley Grubb tunes in with us, we appreciate you, Riley. Riley's, I know he's missing baseball right now, and it's really unfortunate, but it's unfortunately it's how it's working right now, that there is no spring sports in high school, and Riley's a darn good ball player and a darn good kid, and I hate it for him. That senior class, man, this 2020 senior, they have been through so much. And I'm not just talking about this year, but they've had a few different people that's come through that weren't necessarily. They had one classmate and then another one that had passed away, and that's got to be tough on them. And the things they have endured, that's a really strong senior class, that 2020 senior class. So, and gosh, I guess graduation's kind of up in the air now with everything going on. I know that's in May, but gosh, we have no idea what to expect come then. So hopefully we can get the graduation in, and if we do, we will be streaming that. We've been asked to stream the graduation, and we can't wait to do that. This right here is the radio station here in Corning, Arkansas, and there is nobody behind me, so I'm just going to stop right here to give you that view right there for just a second, and I might even get the camera out here. This is More Music 93.5, and I believe they even have an AM station, 1260, if I'm seeing that right. And
looks like it.
I know several very, very good people have worked for this radio station and still do, and I know we all want to say thank you to them for all the help with that. That's, again, your local radio station here. I know they try to be as active as they can with the community as well. I know, you go to the 4th of July picnic, and they're usually there. The Christmas thing in the winter, the lighting of the park. I know, we did our spring festival this year. They were there, so we're sure appreciative of them. And again, that's 93.5, the local radio station here. They also cover some sports as well for us, high school sports, and I don't know what kind of music they play now. This says oldies radio on the window there, but I don't know what kind of music they play now. But I know
like who's oldies.
That's right. That's right. So again, 93.5. Again, that's your local radio station here in Corning, Arkansas. If anybody has any ideas on that, Rich Martin says 1260 AM KCCB. To be sold, it must be told. I like that. That's catchy. I like that, Rich. Dalton Hollingsworth says, heck, what about the high school? Yeah, we can definitely get the high school in, too, before we leave. Yep. Drew's got several stuff there that he does want to go through, though. Timothy Baumgartner says, used to be red brick, right? And he's replying to you, Rich Martin, on that one. So, all right, Drew, let's get back to us here. What do you have on deck here? What's on deck here for us to go check out history-wise in Corning, Arkansas?
What do you think?
I don't know. Am I getting a little bit of power here for once? This kind of feels
you can
good.
Pick one if you want.
I tell you, I am. I'm going to pick one. This is kind of nice. This is a little different. I'm not used to this. Not used to this. Getting a little power here. All right, so we've got several here that we're looking at. In fact, do we have our pen out here? We're going to knock off the ones.
This one.
Okay, well, that works too. That's a Sharpie. That'll even be better. We're going to knock off the ones here that we've already hit. Guys, again, tell us where you're watching from if you don't mind, and let us know what you're doing in these crazy times for all of us. We've knocked off the Clay County Courthouse, the Sheik's House, the Oliver House, Hop Alley, the Black Barn there. I'll tell you what, how about, we did the Indian Mound. I forgot about it in First Baptist Church. How about we do the movie theater? All right. Is that okay?
That'll work, yeah.
You okay with the movie theater?
Sure.
All right, we're going to check out the old Corning movie theater here in town. I'll put my Sharpie back there as we've got Dalton Hollingsworth says, when was it built? Now, Dalton, are you talking about the radio station, or are you talking about, which I guess that comment would have just came in, so maybe he is talking about the radio station. I'll be honest with you, Dalton, I really don't know.
Yeah.
Rich Martin, do you know when this radio station was built by chance? I'm going to pull up here, and I'm actually going to make a U-turn in the parking lot. Matter of fact, we'll give you, again, a little bit of a view here of the radio station as we make the U-turn here. As Judy Woodard's on, Timothy Baumgartner says, first air date for KCCB was 1959. Wow, that's really neat stuff. As you see the logo there, the More Music 93.5 Oldies Radio sign there. That's really, really cool. 1959. Thank you, Timothy, for that. That was way back. Man. I know Don Campbell's told me some stories about the radio station and stuff back when they played, so I knew it was at least then. I know he was kind of in that, I think that 70s era there. All right, guys, so we are going to the movie theater. Checking the messages here before I head on out. Bryden Anders is watching. Hetty Maynard says, out by the old dog and Suds. That's probably not a bad idea either. We might, if our stream will go out there, it's all about the signal, and we're kind of leeching off of AT&T and Verizon right now. We've got a system that bonds it, and hopefully it's coming in. It may, come in and out here and there and every once in a while, but hopefully it's doing halfway decent. All right, so we are going to the old movie theater here in Corning. If anybody remembers that, let us know. And I remember, before we get there, I remember when I was real little. I have no idea how old I was, but I remember watching a Batman movie there, and it had the Joker in it, which I think was Jim Carrey at the time. So I don't know which Batman movie that was. I feel like there's a Mr. Freeze, maybe an Arnold Schwarzenegger. Not sure which Batman movie that is, but I remember watching that there at the Corning Theater, and I watched another movie there. I can't remember what it was now, but definitely part of our history, and I know I sure miss it. Obviously, if you live in Corning, you're fortunate, I guess, to only have to drive 30 miles to watch movies. We've got Paragould and Poplar Bluff not too far down the road that have movie theaters, but man, it would be so cool to have a movie theater back in Corning. That would be just so neat. As Lolita Wright says, you are close to the Corning Original School. Very nice. Did not know that. I'm assuming that was kind of back there towards the...
That's where Central is.
Is it where Central is?
Yeah.
Okay. And I think we've got Central, Miss Wright, if you'll stick with us for a little longer, we've got Central actually on our objective of buildings to go look at, so we'll probably talk about that then. Lorana Bree says, first time I ever saw Bigfoot. Very cool.
Someone says Batman and Robin. Was that it?
Maybe it was, because I think Robin was in it. Thank you, Charleston Alfred. He's from the Marshall Islands, by the way. He's tuned in from the Marshall Islands, that's so cool, man. And I hope you guys are doing okay with all the pandemic stuff right now. I know I don't know how things are going down there for you, buddy. But
she's talking about the drive-in theater. Hetty Mater is out north of town. Yeah, that's what she was referring to.
Did not know that. Is this it right here?
This was Okay. This was the State Theater.
Okay.
I can't really remember when it was built. Probably 1920s era, around that time. Let's say a lot of these I don't have dates for off the top of my head.
Yeah, and again we're kind of going off the realm here on a few of these, but again he's got so much stuff that he's having to keep up with too, and of course now Debbie Rose Massage, and she's part of our growing Corning Together and she's a local business too, and I know she's being affected by a lot of stuff going on right now too. So give her a little bit of airtime there, Miss Debbie Rose, because she's a fantastic person, and she does a fantastic job with massaging, because she could tell the other night at our Growing Corning Together meeting I was a little stressed, and man, she didn't even ask. She just started getting the shoulders rubbed in, and man, I needed that. So I appreciate you, Miss Debbie. If you're, I think she was on earlier, but either way, Hattie Maynard is talking about the drive-in theater, and I actually don't know where that was. And you mentioned, you said it was north of town. Is that what you said? North of town. So again, this right here, movie theater here. And we can mark it off our list now.
See, I worked at the State Theater from 55 to 58.
Oh, wow. That is awesome. That is fantastic. Well, Miss Wright, so that this building's going to look familiar to her then, obviously. Very, very neat stuff.
Does anybody know when it was closed? I figure it was the late 90s.
Everything was in the 90s that went down for us. The 90s was not kind to us. One-hit wonders and buildings going down in Corning, unfortunately. But we had a long, across from J.W. Black building was Old Train Stop. One of the reasons for our town's popularity was due to our location. We were first stop in Arkansas and had the youngest age limit for marriage. Wow, did not know that. Folks would travel by train to Clay County to get married without permission of parents. The train station was a pivotal point in our town's word-of-mouth popularity. Thank you, Elizabeth. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I've heard, and one of my coworkers in Poplar Bluff, and I don't know how old he is, so I better not tell his age, but he actually did the same thing. Him and his wife came, or of course it wasn't his wife then, but came down here to get married because the parents did not have their blessing. That's really, really neat.
Okay. Timothy said, I was a projectionist at the State Theater from 80 to 81. They had a platter system, and I had to pull out the reels together for continuous play, no switching projectors. Also took tickets, changed marquee, and cleaned each night. John Richardson owned it. Yeah. Dr. Ritchie's dad, I believe, was the last person to own the theater. And if anyone ever is in Ritchie's office, he has decorated all throughout his office old Disney posters from the films from the Disney Renaissance era. All those marquee posters, he has them framed in the office, and he also has the old metal film reels hanging on the walls.
That is so cool. Man, that is so cool. That is really, really neat. This is stuff I did not know, and we're getting a lot of comments rolling in here. I'm going to go back up my buddy Charleston. Beautiful setup, brother. Right now we are still in the clear. Hopefully it doesn't get here. Thank you, brother. Y'all stay safe as well. Yes, sir. I'm glad to hear that. Charleston, he's a good streaming buddy of mine from the Marshall Islands, so we always try to help each other out. Luana Breeze says, old roller rink. Old roller. I didn't know we had an old roller.
That's north of town.
Is it?
Like
Okay.
where the drive-in is.
I tell you what, folks, we will try to go north of town to see if our signal will allow us here in a little bit, because there's a couple of spots, isn't there?
Yeah.
We'll try. We'll see. Amy Bruton says, it reopened when I was in the 6th grade for a short time in the late 90s.
Okay.
So there you go. In the late 90s might have been some of the last time that you would have been able to watch a movie here. And that probably makes sense because I was born in 87, and I feel like, yeah, probably 9, 10, 11, something like that. So that makes sense. Hattie Manor Drive-In Theater north of town before Curve on 67, skating rink up from that. And Denver Roof's also with us. Lisa Morrow's with us. We appreciate you. Ryan Carter, my brother Kurt, used to go to the theater constantly before it closed. Yeah. Man, it'd be so cool. I know obviously in a town this size it may not be, may not be worthwhile or even worth even trying, but that'd be so cool to have a movie theater here again. And even drive-in stuff now obviously is pretty popular with everything going on, but that would even be cool. But we have started some stuff kind of like that, though, at Growing Corny Together. We've been having some movie nights in the park at Wynn Park, and we've got a projector, and we've got a big screen, and we've had a couple movie nights. So we're trying to kind of get that movie stuff back going here in Corning, but in a little bit different spectrum, though. So I'm going to turn it back on to us now. We've had several people talk about the old movie theater here. That's been really neat. We appreciate your comments, and especially Timothy. It worked here. It was kind of neat. And there was another person, I think Miss Riley might have worked here too. So Douglas King is watching with us. Clint Evans says
Jim Carrey played the Riddler.
The Riddler, not the Joker, the Riddler. That's right. So that was the movie I watched, and right there at that building, that very building right there. So that's a piece of my history. Right there. And again, Debbie Rose's massage is there now, and she does a fantastic job, and we appreciate her. Okay, what's next on the agenda here? What we got?
Someone mentioned the school, so I guess we can go there.
All right, we're going to go to the school, the Central Elementary School, and we'll talk about it a little more when we get there. So I'm going to turn you around here again. Turn your camera around, and we will get over to the Central Elementary School and talk a little bit in detail about it. Again, guys, we'd love to know kind of what you're doing today and what you're doing to, I guess, combat being steer crazy right now with everything going on and no large gatherings and things of that nature. If you're at home, maybe getting a little family time, maybe some board games, or if you're watching movies at home, whatever it may be. If you're out fishing or something, I don't know. Today may not be the best day to go fishing. I don't know. But let us know what you're doing. Let us know where you're tuning in from as well. And I'm going to get up here and I'll hook a left at our next intersection right here. And to the right there, that building you've seen right there, which is Mr. LaRue Motors, that used to be a grocery store. I believe it was Bestway, if I remember the name right. Used to be a grocery store.
I remember Rebel Market was there. I remember my mom talking about that.
Okay.
I believe in the 80s.
Yeah. Now, while we got a quick opportunity here, am I not mistaken? This used to be the old post office, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So while we got a quick second, guys, I want to, if you don't mind, I'm sorry, I'm stopped like right in the middle of the road, and I apologize, but to anybody that's coming behind me here. But this is the old Corning post office, and we got a new one, obviously a very nice one, over near the Corning High School, off of, I guess is that Bobcat Lane, I think.
Yeah.
They call that Bobcat Lane. So again, this is the old post office right here. And you see it's now it's Young's Eye Clinic and Optical, as well as Bradley Chiropractic Center. And we appreciate them, obviously, for continuing to keep that building's legacy going. And just want to make a quick stop there and talk about it while we're over here. Just happened to notice that. So no one's ran us over yet, so that's good. So we got Crystal Lucy's on with us as well. We appreciate you for tuning in. And our next stop, again, is the Central Elementary School. And Drew, when we get there, when we get to it and get you a picture of it, Drew will go over some details of it and the history on it as well. And as you see the Church of Christ here to the left side of your screen, we're slowly driving here because I'm trying not to lose signal with you. Come across here. And also up here on the left, and you'll see a little bit of it in your video screen, is the Corning Public Library. Very, very neat place. I've spent a lot of time there here lately, honestly trying to get some old footage off of their reels back there. In fact, it might be where we go to get a better view of the Central Elementary School. I think we'll have a pretty good view from there. So I'm going to park right over here in the Corning Public Library parking lot. Right here, as you see the lettering right there on it. And I'll park us right about here. I'll get the camera out, and folks, what you're about to see here is I hate to say it, but is the old Central School here, Central Elementary School. As you see the sign there, it says grades 3 through 6. Try to zoom in on that for you. All right, Drew, take it away, buddy.
All right. The Corning School District, District Number 8, began back in 1877. A schoolhouse was built in the intersections of Pine and Olive Street here on 4th Street. And this would be the site of education for Corning students for years. This particular building that's here in the front here was built in, I believe, I originally had 1943, but I'm thinking it's 1942. This whole campus, this is the last remaining building from that era. The rest of the school was burnt in, I believe, the 1970s, if I'm correct. If somebody knows the year that the school burnt, that'd be great. But it had several buildings. It was kind of built kind of like a vocational school. They had buildings for agri, for economics, for music. But this was the front hall of the Corning High School when it was originally built. And, of course, it has the gymnasium that's attached to it. We'll get to it in a bit, but as Corning kind of grew and expanded, they kind of ran out of space. Like on the playground here at this school, they had to block off Columbia Street, and they annexed to build more buildings. And later on, when Central was here, they would close off, Olive Street, I believe, with gates during recess. And back when this was a high school, when sports got to be real big, there wasn't really room to have a football field. So what they had to do is they bought some area north of town on Highway 67, which will probably go out later too, won't we, Andy?
Sure, absolutely.
And they had a football field out there until, I believe, 1965 when they built a new high school out on Bobcat Lane. And this school later reopened as a middle school till it closed in, I guess, last term session, so in 2019.
Yeah, I think, well, I assume that's what they would call it. You're right, 2019. And I think 1968 was the first year of the new school, so the old would have been 1967, I believe. But either way, we're going to go around to the gymnasium part of it. So bear with us here for just a second because Drew did mention there was a gymnasium part. And I know if you played any kind of Pee Wee basketball in your life, you'll know all about the gymnasium. And and the history of it. And I know a lot of us have played a lot of games inside the gymnasium. So, again, there's the front of the school right there as we're driving by it. Trying to keep the camera on the best I can here while we're driving. And we're here again. He mentioned Olive and 4th, and that's the corner right now that we're on here in Corning, Arkansas. As you see down there a little bit further, you see the playground stuff down there. And of course, now to the left, obviously. Now, before we get to we're obviously coming over here for the gymnasium. But before we get there, I'm going to mention this building too. Okay, this one right here, if you can see on your screen. Now, when I was in school, Drew, I don't know about you, but that was the music building.
Yep, music and art.
Music and art, yes.
That building was actually, it was supposed to be temporary. When the school burnt, see, my mom, she grew up in Naylor, and then she moved down here for 3rd grade.
Okay.
And she moved down here after the school had burnt, and all of this area here was filled with little tiny buildings like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they were meant to be temporary. This was, when she went to school, that was 4C and 4D. And then they built this building that's right here, which was 3rd through 5th grade. And they moved all of them except that one for whatever reason. And they kept that one. I believe they moved one to Park Elementary before they closed off all the school when they remodeled it a few years ago. They used it as their counseling building. They moved it after they finished this building.
Okay. Very good. So that is your old music and art, but I know Miss Kate was the teacher there for me whenever I was back in school. Now, the building we're looking at right now, this is the gymnasium that Drew had spoke about, kind of entwined here in the center of Central Elementary School, as you can see. And that right there, there's 2 entrances there. Try to get you those on camera if I can without messing anything up. Of course, there's one right there. That's the one that we mainly used to go into the gym right there. And I don't even know, is this gym still in use? That'd be a really good question for anybody. Do you know, Drew, if it's still in use? Because I don't.
They don't use it.
They do not use it. Okay, so old gymnasium, and you get in there, and it's a different smell of paint and finish on the court. It's got a different color, kind of that little bit darker wood, I guess you would, that hardwood. Timothy Baumgartner said they founded the new library by recycling cans. Holy hay bales. Yeah. Don Braverman was instrumental in accomplishing that and keeping community involved. Thinking 1980 through 1984 sometime in there. That's a neat story right there. That is pretty cool. I did not know that. I'm going to go off of my camera now. I'm going to go back to the front of the camera here. I did not know that at all. That's a really cool story. Thank you, Timothy, for sharing that with us, because I certainly didn't know that. We've got Leigh Smith and Don Hubbard, Jennifer Prince, Calvin Burkhart with us. Hey, I know there's a lot of people got a lot of history in there. I know played a lot of ball in there in my time, and Dave McCollum was my head coach, and I guess it was 3rd and 4th grade teams, and you had, I think, 5th and 6th grade teams, and never forget we had some battles in there, and really, really neat stories from that gymnasium right there. If you got some, we'd love to hear it. That's a Central Elementary Gymnasium here in Corning, Arkansas, as Logan White tunes in with us.
See, it was built when my grandpa was 1 year old. He went to school in McDougal, but their basketball team, they would take them out here to Corning to play. So
that's neat.
When he was a kid, this gymnasium was brand new.
That is really, really neat. All right, Drew, now what do we – okay, so this is we've talked about Central Elementary right here behind us here, as you can see in the background. We've talked about it. What do we have next on the list that we have not
So I guess we can finish up with the Polk buildings and then the Dr. Latimer building.
Okay. Now, I'll be honest with you. I don't know where the Polk building is, so you're going to have to help with the directions. I know you're a map guy, so that shouldn't be a problem at all.
It's on 2nd Street.
On 2nd Street. Folks, we appreciate you for tuning in. If you don't mind, share the feed for us. Let's get some history of Corning out there for everybody that don't know. I've learned a lot already today, and we're still learning. We're not done yet. So as long as our system will keep going here, and it looks like it's doing pretty good back there. So crossing our fingers. We've never done this before, so this is all new. I'm going to flip your camera back around, and we're going to go to 2nd Street, somewhere near 2nd Street, to I believe it's the WD Polk block building, I believe.
Yep.
All righty. Here we go. We got Liz Haywood tuning in with us right now. We appreciate you, Liz. And again, guys, while I'm talking to you here too, again, Friday night we're going to do something a little bit different. every Friday night from now on, we're going to have a little bit of a game night, and I just wanted everybody to be aware of that. We're going to do some online gaming. I didn't know it was a thing until the other day, but there is a such thing as online gaming that we're going to do, and we're going to do it with you guys on a live stream. So we got to figure out what game we're going to do, and we got to figure out all the little logistics of it. We'll figure that out, and you guys can tune in with us, and we're going to do that every Friday night and kind of give us something to do in lieu of sports right now, as we don't have any sports to be streaming. So maybe we can play some sports on some games, or whatever games you guys would decide to want to play, as we are on our way to 2nd Street right now. And again, we're looking for the Polk building. And I believe we're clear here, so we're going to cut across. This is the corner of Olive and West 3rd. I think Coach Mark Smith used to live at this house to my left here. I don't know if he still does or not, but a wonderful human being, a great coach, but even better man. And I know Miss Lou is smiling down on us now from above, and she was a wonderful human being as well, and a wonderful teacher, and we sure do miss her. Every time I pass by that house, that's the first thing I think about. So Don Hubbard said, played elementary basketball there under Bob Harpole. I've heard of that name. Don, what year was that? I'd love to know, because I've heard of that name a time or two. And if you have any Bob Harpole stories, I'd love to hear those as we're crossing, I believe, what was 2nd Street there. And that's where I was supposed to turn, wasn't it?
Yep.
Man, I tell you what. Folks, when you get old, the memory goes away. You get distracted. Squirrel, there you go. You're looking elsewhere, and boom. So we're back on Front Street, which we're not supposed to be, over looking across the railroad tracks here to where Black's was, and also the Button Factory as well. And what we're going to do is we're just going to make a circle up here. We're going to turn on, I believe, I guess it's Pine Street.
Yep.
We're going to make a left on Pine Street right here. And we're going to get back on track. I got us off track there for a second. That's my fault. All right, here we go. Okay, so let's get ready for the WD Polk block building,
Which is right here in the right here, this whole 2-story block right here. This whole block here was originally built around 1894. It was constructed by a man by the name of WD Polk.
This right here?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do, a little unorthodox, but I'm going to back her on up. Nobody's coming, so
We're good.
we are good, and that's what we're going to do. So, and I think it's right here in your screen right here, on the screen there, the buildings that he is talking about.
Those are it. The first one to be constructed was the one right here in the corner. It was built in 1894. It was the first bank in Corning. If you go inside of it, the original vault is still in there. It's kind of a bronze color, if I'm remembering correctly. But later on, that he would add these 2 buildings on the side, and then he would continue all the way down. W.D. Polk was over the Corning Bank. He helped start that. The building on the end was originally 2-story, but it was, I guess it got in rough shape, so they cut the first story down. And as you can see, a lot of these buildings here, a lot of the original, 1990s ironworking that originally would have been on the buildings, and the brickwork was covered with other brick and stucco during remodels in the 1970s. So a lot of the original detail it's there, but it's hidden underneath a lot of this extra stuff. But that was the original Corning Bank, and it was used until 1920, when at the end of the corner of this other street, he built the Corning Bank and Trust Company building, which we have next on our tour, in 1920. So I guess we want to move on to that. We could go down there.
Absolutely. If anybody has any history of these buildings right here, let us know. Again, these 2 buildings, or these actually, it looks like almost one massive building kind of combined, but I guess it would be considered 2 or 3 buildings combined. I don't know, but if anybody ever worked there or had any business there or have any history there, we'd sure love to hear about that. As Rethley Morrow and Derek Scrape is also with us. Don Hubbard said also played pickup basketball in the old gym back in the late 70s. Someone had a key to allow us to go there in the winter. Played with Jim Black, Jerry Davis, and Kendall Archer. Liz Haywood said, I worked at the theater from 1960 to 1967. We appreciate that, Liz. Thank you very much for giving us that little tidbit of information. Don Hubbard says around 1970 to 1972, another elementary coach was Coach Ellis. He was also an elementary teacher. Very neat. Love to hear that. Didn't know that. I've never heard of Coach Ellis, so that's something new I just learned today. All right, I'm going to get you back to the front view camera here. And so we can now officially check off those buildings right there, which are the WD Polk block buildings, as Drew was so kind to give us some information on that. What we have next, Drew?
I guess after this building was built, I failed to mention that when WD Polk originally had this built, he contracted a man by the name of Joe Walk in 1894 to bring in sand and brick for the construction of the building. The construction of this building was actually delayed because he found out that James White and someone else employed by the name of D.A. Millam were contracted to erect the building. They embezzled the money that he gave them to WD Polk, hopped the train, and fled to Poplar Bluff.
Of course.
So they had the police get on train, and they eventually caught him in Poplar Bluff and brought him back.
Of course.
And obviously the building was eventually built. But
that's awesome. Now, that is a cool story. I'm glad we stopped. And we stopped, collaborate, and listen, because that's a really, really cool story. I like that. And got on the train and went to Poplar Bluff. I think I'd have went a little further. I think I'd got on down a little farther than Poplar Bluff, but either way. So, all right. So now, what do we have next? Now I don't think we have any more comments there to touch on. Do we? No, nothing new that I see. And guys, we're just on the Corning Sports Report Facebook page. I don't. Well, I guess I could get off here. I could go to the other one for just a second, the Redline, and see if we got anything on there real quick while we're sitting here. Not in anybody's way here, so might as well make sure we don't have anything from you guys on the Redline side. Gosh, we've got 12 comments we missed, and we apologize. All right, Paige Cat was on here, Misty Jolly, Joey Reed, Ryan Connor, Drew, talk about the Meteor.
The Meteor.
Yeah.
All right. As you probably know, Paragould has a Meteor.
Oh, I knew about Paragould, yeah.
Yeah, and Pocahontas has one at their courthouse on their court square.
Yeah.
Corning had one.
We did?
We did.
What happened?
It was stolen.
What?
Yeah.
What? Did they hop on a train and go to Poplar Bluff, too?
I don't know.
Is that what happened?
No one really knows. It was just there on the court square one day, and then the next day it was gone. Somebody picked it up and stole it.
Does anybody know any whereabouts? I don't know what the statute of limitations are, but we're going to find that. We're going to find our Meteor.
It's probably with the skeletons from the Indian Mound.
It probably is, yeah. My goodness, that is really neat. Do we know a time frame on when?
I don't know.
Okay.
It was actually in I think it was actually in the article I read about the Indian Mound. Jim Oliver ends it with, like, on the topic of this, does anybody ever hear anything about, like, what happened to the meteorite that was in the court square? And that's where the article ends.
Why can't we have it? maybe that's where Piggott got theirs.
They have one?
Oh, I thought you said Paragould. I'm sorry.
Paragould and Pocahontas.
Okay.
Piggott has
maybe Pocahontas got theirs.
Piggott has a bunch of petrified wood outside.
Okay.
I don't know why they didn't want to steal wood, but they steal a space rock. That's more special.
If anybody has any inklings of where that space rock is, please let us know. I would love to see it. We'll work out a deal. We'll work out something. Debbie Rose Massage. We'll figure something out. We'll work out something here. Man, that's really neat. I didn't know we had a meteor story until just now. Douglas King is on Redline. And sorry, we're just getting to these. I apologize. We're like, I don't know, probably halfway through this thing, and we're not even not even seen these. That was still a beautiful home until Miss Sheeks died. Still original interior. That's awesome. Awesome stuff. That was on the Sheeks house that we talked about over by the courthouse earlier. Amy Bruton Theater was on 2nd at right past Red Taylor Ford. Yes, ma'am. Douglas King said, great memories of FBC when Thelma Rockwell led the teen choir in the late 70s and early 80s. Love hearing that from Thelma Rockwell. And Kelby Phillips said, love Corning First Baptist. She got her hand up with some hearts. Clint Evans reiterating that Jim Carrey was not the Joker. He was the Riddler. My memory, man. You see these receding hairlines and gray hairs. It's gone. Kelby Phillips, Debbie is the best with like exclamation points and like these star eyes. I don't know what exactly that is, but emphatically. Heath Simmons says, I just passed y'all, headed to Dollar. Why didn't you honk? Why didn't you honk, Heath? Come back by us and honk, okay? Did you wave, Heath? I got to know. Did you wave? Did I wave at you? I don't know, probably not. So I want to start waving at people. So there goes somebody. We're waving. Okay, we didn't get a wave back. So we're 0 for 1, but that's okay. So that's our Redline comments. We're going to get off of there. We'll go to our Corning Sports Report comments again. I don't have YouTube. I'm sorry. So if you're on YouTube, you're just going to have to, if you want to engage with us, just get off there and come on to the Facebook page here. I apologize. And we've got a ton of people that's tuned in and commented, and I really do appreciate it. Again, share this feed if you can. It's about the history of Corning. Don Hubbard, right up the street, BC Page delivered me at his clinic. Proud to say I was actually born in Corning. That's really cool. I didn't even know. That's really cool. So BC Page, when was Don? I wonder how old Don is. If he was playing ball back in the 70s. He said right up the street. So I'm guessing from here, from the block buildings. Did we have a hospital here at one time that I didn't know about?
The Courtney Hospital was where Mid-South is.
Okay.
Yeah. It opened around the same time the Piggott Hospital did.
So that wouldn't have been what – okay. Maybe that's where the delivery happened. I don't know. Timothy's on with us again with Steve Ballard, Brenda Wilcutt-Secreson, Lindsey Williams, Amy Bruton, Darlene Cochran. All right, guys, we just saw the old WD Polk block buildings. We're going to something next. What are we going to next?
We can go to the Corning Bank building, show it off.
The Corning Bank building, okay. Guys, Corning Bank building's next. We're going to turn you back around. And here we go. Back on our way. Hi-ho, hi-ho. It's back to the stream we go. All right. We're going to turn our right. Folks, we're on Pine and West 2nd right now. This is essentially downtown Corning. For those that don't know, that's tuning in with us, as Miss Paige Cat's on with us right now. I know she's been down this street a few times or two. To our right, you're going to see Black's Hardware Paint, the building center, if you will, and they are still in business, and that's a local company there. We'd love for you to support if you can. As you see to the right of your screen right there. And to the left, we're going to have an Agape Mission and Current Games Baptist Association. All right, Drew, don't let me miss this now.
See, the bank's right here in the corner here.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do something unique. I'm going to hook a little right here. And I'm going to use the Black's Building Center parking lot for our angle, our spot to view all this. And as I turn in here, a little bit of a bump there. We're going to be all right, though. All right, so I believe, if I'm understanding right, that right here on this corner, this building right here is exactly what we want to be looking at, correct?
Yep, this was the Corning Bacon Trucks building, as it says in the top there, and it was built in 1920, as it says above the awning. This was when WD Polk was still over the Corning Bank. He originally had the one on the other side of the block in the Polk block, but he eventually spread it all the way down to the corner of Vine. And like I said, this was the next Corning Bank, which was built in 1920. The Corning Bank stayed here until, I guess, 2002, because I know in 2003 they built the new bank on the highway, and then they moved out, and then this building was donated to the Current Gains Baptist Association. And they use it for offices. And then in the main lobby, they also have the Agape Mission.
That is awesome. As we got some more people, we're going to wave at them too. Did we get a wave back, Drew? I couldn't tell.
I didn't see they had tinted windows. They
Okay.
stopped.
They at least stopped. So probably wondering what the heck we're doing. We've got a lot of looks today, by the way, and I don't blame them. We're wearing headsets in a car, for one, and we got cameras everywhere, and we got the sunroof open with a camera hanging out of it. So there you have it. So, again, you're thinking until about 2002.
Yeah, because I know the plaque outside the building on the highway says 2003, and I was a kid when they were building it, so I remember that.
Again, this building was built in 1920. Again, the Corning Bank and Trust Company here. Very large building, too.
See, I'm not sure if if his son, I think his son was named Winfred D. Polk. I know that he has at the Methodist Church here in town, there's a plaque on the bell tower, and it's dedicated in memory of him.
Yeah.
But the Polks had a huge 3-story mansion with like a huge turret at the top, which was on. It was originally on High Street behind the school, but the street was eventually renamed Polk Street in honor of him because, obviously his house was there.
Yeah, sure. So, yeah, exactly.
I remember my piano teacher, Mrs. Kay Asher, she said she remembers when she was a kid, they would have, like all the Easter flowers and stuff, and they had Easter egg hunts out there in the 40s. And she said it was just like the White House Easter egg hunts because, you had this huge 3-story mansion and Easter eggs all throughout the grass. And she said it was just really something back then. But that, if I'm remembering correctly, that house was bought after the Polks had it in the 60s by the Minettes, who were over the bank at the time. And they bought it, and they were trying to remodel it for the centennial in 1973. But around that time, they were trying to switch from copper to aluminum electrical wire.
Oh, wow.
And they had the whole house done, I believe, and then the wire shorted out and burnt the whole thing to the ground.
Oh, no.
I think like 4 years shy of the centennial.
Oh, no.
So it was
that would have been
sad.
such a happy story there with a good ending, but it was not. And as we come to the side of it, and the building that we're talking about is on the left there, you can kind of see the stature and the size of that building and the depth of it as well. And gosh, I don't know how tall that is, but man, that's a ways up there for sure. And of course, very, very neat looking building. As Kevin Ray Earl says, I used to bank there. Nice building. Yes, it is. He's absolutely right. LaFern Young says, love my CSR. Keep up the great work. I remember all of this. I remember our hospital. I worked there in 52, 53. Very nice. Thank you, Miss Young. We appreciate you mentioning that, as Kelly Brickley's with us as well.
Got Robin Black.
Yeah, there's Robin Black, Jamie Monroe, Colton Latimer, Lance Hewitt also is on as well as we're going through our little tour of down. Right now we're in downtown Corning, but our tour of Corning in general. Again, alongside me today is Drew Calhoun. He's kind of the historian here in Corning, Arkansas, whether he wants to be labeled that or not, he's going to be. So that's what I'm calling him. We've checked off several of our hot spots here today. And we got some few more to go though. What would you like to hit up next, Drew?
I guess the last one I have in downtown Corning is the old Dr. N.J. Latimer office, which is just down the road
here.
to the left.
Okay, to our left. So again, we're going to the Dr. Latimer office, and here in downtown Corning, Arkansas. So guys, I'm about to make a left here on the corner of Vine and West 2nd. There's Mr. Farm Bureau himself right there, Mr. Cliff Gifford. And he's stopping. I don't know if he's going to come on the stream with us or not, but we're going to give him a chance to if he wants to. I'm right here at the corner, so he's got the Razorback on the back of his. He's wanting me to come out for a second. I'll be right back, folks. Okay, I'm going to let Drew take over for just a second. I'll be right back.
No problem. Like I said earlier, if y'all have any comments or questions, I could do my best to try to answer them. Or if not, if you have any sites that you'd like to see, we could hit them up. Andy's out there with Cliff right now. See, don't have any new comments. See, Andy, he's coming back right now. So you got Kevin Ray Earls. I don't know if that's any Andy's family. I can ask him when he comes back. Hey, was that some of your family? That Kevin Ray Earls?
Yeah, it's my uncle, actually, yeah. Is he making fun of me? Is he making fun of me or anything?
I don't know. He
Okay.
just said,
Okay.
I used to bank there. Nice building.
Yeah, at the old Corning Bank and Trust, which I think First National had it correct. Is that right? At the
Yeah.
end? Okay. Doug Reed's watching. Miss Cat, hey, what we have? What did Miss Cat say here?
Show Donnie the old clinic as you go by the brick building you were backed up to.
Oh yeah. Well, I think is that not the building we're going to now?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so, Miss Cat. So if you'll bear with us for just a second, I think that's the building that we're going to right.
See, Donna Hicks
Hey,
said.
we got a wave there. We got another wave. There we go.
There we go. Don Hicks said, was there an IGA store where the black store is? Yes, that was IGA originally when they built it.
So the store right now that Black's is?
Yeah, it was an IGA grocery store.
IGA grocery store at one time. Okay. That was Mr. Gifford there with Farm Bureau, or State Farm, I should say, and good man. He had some news there, so I apologize for leaving you. Drew left you alone by yourself there for a little bit, man.
We managed.
You managed. All right, very good. All right, so now we're going to go to, and what I might do is I might just park over here so I can get the camera out and get a better view. But we're going to go to, I'm assuming.
Dr. Latimer is the two-story one there.
Okay, just a little bit further down. But I might.
I guess we could do both of these.
Let's do both of them. Yeah, let's do both of them. Okay, so I'm going to park right here, put my flashers on, and we're going to get a couple of buildings here at one time. I'm going to get the camera out, and Drew's going to do his thing.
I'll start with the oldest one, the Dr. Latimer building back there.
Okay.
The Dr. Latimer building was the office of Dr. Newton Jacob Latimer. He was a pioneer doctor here in Corning. The building was built in 1895, so a year after the Polk block to the right of us. As I mentioned, probably, I guess it was earlier on the live stream, a lot of early buildings in Corning were entire blocks would burn down because there was really no way to stop the fire. All they could really do is maybe get some pails and throw water in it. But really, if one building caught on fire, they all caught on fire. So the city council eventually made an ordinance that if you were going to build any store building within Corning, it had to be made of brick. And so that's obviously why the Polk block was built with brick. And later in 1895, the Dr. Latimer building was built, and it was built by Mayor Tom Barker. And the main floor was used at the time as Dr. Latimer's office, and the upstairs was used for a law office for Mayor Barker, and at other times it was used as a Masonic lodge. At the young age of 15, Dr. Latimer, he lost his father, and it was after this great loss in his life that he decided to get into the medical field. He attended the University of Tennessee, the University of Nashville Medical School, and he was the graduate of the University of Louisville at the class of 1886. He was one of the first individuals in Corning to have an automobile, which he used to travel around Clay County, which just was kind of interesting. He didn't just serve Corning, he also served other cities like Noble and Moark. He had a bicycle, which the wheels were meant to drive on the railroad tracks, and had a third wheel that went off to the side, so it would drive on the other rail, so it'd balance. And
that is awesome.
So he would, get his bags, and he would drive on his bicycle on the railroad to Moark or Noble, Peach Orchard, wherever he needed to be at the time. That's really what a lot of things were like for in those days.
I'm trying to picture that right now in my mind, and that just seems really neat.
But
pretty wild, too. Pretty brave, actually.
He and his wife, there used to be his original house, which he bought from J.W. Harb, which I believe was the guy who built the Oliver House, was right next to it. It was a two-story wood frame structure. That building the house was later moved to in front of Central, but behind where the library is. It's an empty lot now. It was donated to First Baptist Church years ago, and the house was torn down. But that was his original house, and then later Dr. Latimer had the red brick home that's to the right of it built, which we can look at that later.
That's down the road, you're saying?
Yeah.
The red brick? Okay. Yeah, I see that a little bit there on your stream there. And again, we'll get the front of this house, too, here in just a second. But the reason we stopped here is we've got another building here that's kind of important to us, too, we're going to speak about as well. But That is a really tall and stature building for sure, with massive trees around it. And, of course, you see the couple of windows that are out here on the back side, and I believe even the roof might have even been caved in there. Can't really tell.
It suffered a pretty devastating fire back in 2008. So most of it's hollowed out right now.
But definitely a really neat-looking building, though, for sure. And it definitely sticks out, too, as you're looking this way, anyways, from downtown Corning on 2nd Street. Again, folks, location-wise, this is on the corner of Pine and West 2nd, looking towards straight all the way down to the radio station, the courthouse, and things of that nature. If you're from Corning, I apologize, I have my camera goofing around there. And we've got another building here, Drew, that's kind of here, nestled here in front of it. So see if you wanted to talk about it, if you knew any history on it.
Sure. This building was built, I believe, in the 50s. It opened up as Morgan Pharmacy. I guess doctor, maybe? Or I'm just going to say Mr. Morgan. I'm not sure if he's a doctor. Mr. Morgan, he was a pharmacist in town. He opened Morgan's Pharmacy. He later moved out of town, and he gave the keys to the store to a young pharmacist in the town who was just getting started by the name of Dennis Cate.
Yes.
And he opened Cate's Pharmacy here, and it remained here until I was a young kid when they built the new one out on the highway.
I was thinking the same thing. Yeah, I don't know I would be guessing on the year there as well, so I probably better not do that. But yeah.
But it was actually kind of funny because Morgan had his pharmacy here, and he built this building, but he gave it to Dennis Cate. And it wasn't, I don't think, 10 years later, or maybe even less than 10 years, he came back to Corning, and he started his own pharmacy in another building. He didn't even get to have the building that he built where the juvenile office is.
Juvenile. Oh, okay.
That was Morgan's Pharmacy when he came back. Because
oh wow,
I think my aunt worked there.
Very interesting stuff there. I am going to go to the live stream now.
So you get some low battery in your phone.
Yeah, I know. I've been trying to charge it. I don't know why it's not. We've got Don Hubbard said the building caddy corner to where you are parked was the BC Page Clinic doctor. Ration had a dentist office behind it. I think that was when we were back a little ways.
Okay. There was a wood frame building here in the corner. I'm not sure if they're talking about that. It was torn down.
You mean on this corner right here?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if they're talking about that.
Either way, we've also got Robin Black is also on here with us. She says, does anyone remember Black's mortuary? It was on Front Street behind Black's shed. Roman Selig was the mortician. I hope I spelled that correctly. It looks good enough to me, Rob, and I hope I pronounce it correctly. I don't personally remember it, but Drew, is that something?
It was on Front Street.
Is that something that you can kind of recollect with?
I've heard of it, but I'm not quite sure where it was. We can drive around there.
Absolutely. I'm gonna put the camera down for just a second to speak with you guys. Again, the two buildings you see to the left-hand side of your screen is what we've been looking at here. Elizabeth Million says, Drew, I agree with Mr. Baumgartner. I have plenty of stories. I will have to make you some notes. And what did Mr. Baumgartner say? Oh, here we go. Drew, you should write a book with your knowledge and gather other data from those who live or have lived in Corning. A picture and a paragraph assembled for buildings, businesses, and families would be great. Hey, Timothy, I second that.
Hey, that'd be good.
I know. Yeah, I mean, it just throws a lot of work on you, but hey, good luck, Drew. No, but that would be a lot of fun. That would be really cool, man. I don't know what all that would entail to do that, but I'm all for helping out in any way I can. Maybe that's something you could do, Drew.
Yeah, I about to say.
Dalton said, how about the community center? Dalton, we may actually drive out that way here in a little bit.
Yeah, we could do that.
Mary Grubb's also watching. We're trying to get through all your comments here before we go into our next historical. Hannah Roark, Drew, this was Elizabeth Million. She was mentioning what Timothy said. Drew with Mr. Baumgartner, I have plenty of stories, and I will have to make you some notes. That would be fun. Hey, Elizabeth, we'd appreciate that. Hannah Roark, Kevin Ray Earls, thank you all for the history of Corning today. Great job, Andy. Thank you, sir. Don't forget Drew. He's doing a good job, and I wouldn't be able to do this without him. I'd just be, there's a building, there's a building, there's a building. Great architecture and detail, especially the windows around the top facade, says Timothy.
See what we got. Wonderful Sunday afternoon. No, the building in front of the fire hydrant.
The building in front of the fire. Where's the?
There's one there. Is she talking about the pharmacy?
There's a fire hydrant right there. Yeah, we just talked about that one there. I don't know who was asking about that, but we're way. Oh, we got another wave. There we go. Who is it?
Maybe
Robin Black.
Maybe that's who Paige is talking about.
Oh, Paige. I'm sorry.
Maybe.
Well, she said something up here too. Ah, yes, Dr. Ratton, the dentist. Remember the smell of his hands.
They smelled like cigarette smoke.
I'm going to get you a different view there. Robin Black, mortuary. You got it right, Robin. I'm sticking with it. Yes, Paige, the building right there. Donna Hicks says that's a wonderful Sunday afternoon drive through Corning. Thank you, guys. Hey, we're not done. We really aren't. Donna, stick with us here. Cody McGrew, Derek Walter, Cindy Arndt. Don Hubbard said original BC Page Clinic, Andy. That's where I was born. I'm still trying to figure out that one. That one still kind of got me baffled.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly. I believe you, Don. We're trying to figure out exactly which one that is, though.
Robin Black says that building was torn down in the late 80s to build the large shed for Black's building. Okay, so I guess the mortuary isn't there anymore.
Okay, so never mind. Then we can't do that one. Paige says no. Actually, she says no. The building in front of the fire hydrant.
There's a lot of fire hydrants. So.
Oh, the building in front of the fire hydrant is where Donnie was born.
Yeah, so I guess.
So this building right here.
Maybe it was a pharmacy and a clinic, because I know there's a dentist. There's a dentist in the back till a few years ago.
All right, we're going to do like Blue's Clues here. There's the first clue, the fire hydrant.
Because you see the back part where the windows are? That
right
was
here? Okay, that one? Or back here?
Yeah, the back part.
Right back.
Like
okay.
where that handicap sign is?
Let's zoom out, and I'm going to zoom in. This back part right here is what Drew's talking about.
Yeah, I know that was a dentist until a few years ago.
Okay.
And then Kate's Pharmacy was up here in the front.
Up in the front. So we're thinking Don, folks, we're doing some investigative work here. We're thinking Donnie Hubbard might have been born in this building right here, folks.
The Kate Pharmacy was also Dr. Okay, it was also Dr. Page's office and also the Dr. Ratton office. Glenn Boyd says Page Clinic. It is the old. Okay, it is the old Kate
there
Pharmacy
we go.
building.
So we're right on cue there. So awesome. So I think we've got everything figured out there. I tell you what, Drew, if you don't mind, let's figure out what's next, man. What's next on our list here? Do we have any more comments here before we move on from this one? We got Amber Leach. She said, yes, I remember going to Dr. Page's office when he was by the pharmacy. Robin Black, lots of babies were born in that clinic behind the red fire. I did not know this. I did not know that. It's very interesting. Thank you, Robin. I did not know that was the
Rockwell's.
case.
That's who it was. Had the dentistry here.
Rockwell. That's correct. That is correct. Rockwell Dentistry. Yes. Don Hubbard. Yes, the original Kate Pharmacy was the BC Page Clinic. We finally figured out where Mr. Donnie Hubbard was born. I feel better now. I can sleep tonight. I'm good. Paige says yes in capital letters, by the way.
She's really wanting to get that out there.
Woo! She's like, finally, you guys are so not smart enough to catch up on these, but we finally figured it out. All right, what we have next?
So you mentioned you want to go to the old football field at Huddle Plaza?
Yeah, Huddle Plaza. I know I got some football people on here, or even some sports or cheerleaders or whatever. Some old people that's on here with us right now. If you're on with us, the old Huddle Plaza, which in my understanding was Sprague Field, named after a superintendent. We're going to go check it out, okay? So I'm going to turn you around. I'm going to roll some of my windows up here because it's getting a little chill in here. I'm going to do some of that. I'm going to turn you around, and we're going to go visit the old Huddle Plaza. Well, I shouldn't say old. It's still called, I guess a lot of people still call it Huddle Plaza.
Yeah.
Here in Corning, Arkansas. Again, this is a little trip down memory lane with our special guest, Drew Calhoun, and we appreciate him for jumping on board with us.
Y'all said it was Sprague Field?
Yeah, and I can't remember the.
Is it FB Sprague?
I don't know. I was going to say I can't remember the superintendent's first name. Maybe Pam Brown. She's watching. Maybe she could help. Miss Pam Brown, we are heading to Huddle Plaza, which used to be Sprague Field, is what I was being told. And I know football was played there until, I believe.
I guess until they built a new school.
Until they built a new school, which is my understanding. The last game there at Sprague Field was in '67 because the new school was built in '68 and they started playing there. So
let's say if it was FB Sprague, where the Riverbank ATM is now, the Sprague house was there at the intersection until my oldest brother Brandon. He was a kid when they tore it down, and he wasn't very happy about it because it was his favorite house in Corning.
Oh wow!
And it's actually funny. It wasn't until I believe last year was the first time I've ever seen anyone use that ATM, which I think was kind of funny.
Yeah, that was a nice. You're right, Brandon was in my class, the greatest class to ever roam the halls, class of '06. I'm a little bit biased.
See, Pam says she didn't grow up in Corning. See if it was.
Thanks for nothing, Pam. No, I'm kidding. We love you, Pam. We love you.
I figure it was FB Sprague because he's pretty prominent, and I figure that was his house. I know he's pretty prominent in First Baptist Church. I believe there's a plaque on the pulpit in the church that's in memory of him.
Okay. Karen Crawley, maybe Miss Crawley. Miss Crawley, did you grow up around Corning here? Would you know in the late '60s a superintendent by the last name of Sprague? As you see the funeral home here to our right, that's the Ermert Funeral Home. And this is the location that Drew was talking about there on the corner. See where Riverbank is right now? That would have been the old Sprague building right there.
Where the ATM is.
Or where the ATM is actually up there to your left, or center of the screen to your left now, as we're going to the one and only stoplight here in the big city of Corning.
Used to have two.
Did we really?
Yep. Right there at the intersection where Red Taylor Ford was.
Yeah.
Used to be one there.
This one. Did not know that. Did not know that. Learned something new again. You see a bunch of rock and dirt and all kinds of stuff dug up over to your right. And that used to be a gas station there, and I'm not sure what the plans are there. But
they got the tanks in the ground. They just haven't.
Yeah. A lot of work being done there. You see Jordan's Boots and Shoes over there to the right as well. It's a business we no longer have, but a lot of people bought a lot of shoes from that, and a lot of boots, a lot of different stuff in there. And you'll see the newish Taco Bell to your right, and then of course the Dollar General is kind of tucked back there to our left. We have a McDonald's and a Sonic, and also a grocery store coming up, which is going to be a part of what we're going to be mentioning here in just a second. I'm going to pull over to the right so we can get a view of this entire building. In fact, the place I'm pulling over here is Mr. Jay Malone's, Jay's Photography here in Corning, Arkansas. We sure appreciate him. He's a fantastic man. He's helped us out with a lot of different stuff. We also have a New Era, I guess that's a vape store there here in Corning, Arkansas. Now, I'm directing you like this because I want to show you Huddle Plaza here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop, then I'm going to get the camera out and open the sunroof here to give you a little bit better view. But Karen Crawley's on here. Jim Kimbrell is the first superintendent that I remember, and I believe Kimbrell was after that time frame, which again, you're looking straight across here. This is Huddle Plaza. This used to be a football field named Sprague Field. My understanding was the last game there was in 1967. We got the big trucks going through there. I apologize. Because the new school was built in 19... Hey, that means business right there, folks. We got trucks flying everywhere through Corning, Arkansas right now. That means business is going good. So I don't want to hear any bad economy talk. So got business going like crazy. So Sprague Field, this is the home of what used to be the Corning High School football field. And I'm going to try to get this camera up here if I can for you so we can start kind of zooming in on everything. You'll see to your left, that is a grocery store here in Corning. Used to be, I believe, used to be Wallace and Owens, and then maybe was Harps before 10 Box. I'm not sure anything before that because that would predate my knowledge. But you see another truck going by there, and that far corner used to be our Dollar General store, which is now obviously we've got a brand new one. I don't know if you can see it on the camera here or not, but it's over to your left there. You see the sign for it, anyways. But anyways, this used to be the site of the football field here in Corning, Arkansas. And this is called Huddle Plaza for that reason, I assume, anyways. Obviously, you're huddled up in football a lot, and that's kind of a neat thing. So I know there's a lot of interesting history here, and we may not have anybody on right now that ever played on this field, but maybe when people watch back, they can kind of comment on it and let us know about it. And there was actually a football field before this one. And
Really?
The football field before this one was Hobson Field, which is west of town, I do believe, before you get to the community center, before you get to, I believe it's the old Money Miser, before you get to the, I I think it used to be LaRue Motors. Not sure who has that now. But right there in the corner, I think there's a nice little flagpole there now. My understanding was that used to be Hobson Field at one time, which was predates this one, which I don't know when this field would have been created, the Sprague Field here that you're looking at here in Huddle Plaza. But J.C. Marl was watching. Shelby Handwork, she said, we used to have pep rallies there. There we go. Well, we got someone who's had a little bit of history here, so that's awesome. Love to hear that. Again,
yeah. I remember my piano teacher that I had a few years ago, Miss Kay Asher. She said she was in the band, and she said she hated this field because it was so uneven trying to march on it and play. She said she'd always step in holes and everything.
That's awesome. We've got Kevin Mayerls, the Corning Hospital, Mid-South now. I worked there once and had been in the Corning Hospital when it was here. I used to hear ghost stories when I worked there about it being haunted. I always wondered how it would feel to go down to the basement. Is there any way y'all could get them to let y'all take a tour through there? Well, I can tell you this, Uncle. If that thing's haunted, my rear end will not be going down there. I can tell you that. We'll let Drew do that. He'll be our guinea pig or our lab rat. Again, you're looking at the old Huddle, I guess it's still called Huddle Plaza, but the site of Sprague Field. The last football game here was in 1967 when the new school was built in 1968. I don't know if Coach Campbell was on here. He could tell us some stories about this, even though this was a little bit before him. He'd heard a lot of stories over here, and I'm sure when he rewatches this later on, he'll be able to comment and tell some cool stories. So, Drew, what do we have? What do we have next, man? What's next on the objective here?
I guess I could mention something. I think like after this football field wasn't used anymore, it was bought by, I want to say, Mayor E.W. Cochran.
Okay.
I knew the Cochrans had it, and they started building these buildings separately.
Uh-huh.
I do know in the back of these buildings there's a plaque that has Cochran on it, and it has, like, in one corner it says E.W., Bob. I guess we can go around and look at it if you want.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I don't mind at all. Let's definitely do that. And we've actually got John and Virginia Harvey. When I was a kid, there was a fantasy arcade and something Primo's Pizza in Huddle Plaza. Very nice. So they had an arcade here. That's fantastic. I wouldn't mind having another arcade here in Corning. That would be kind of fun and kind of neat for the kids. And yes, I'm a grown-up and adult, but I'd probably be in there too. But again, this is the old Huddle Plaza. It used to be Sprague Field here in Corning, Arkansas, where the Corning Bobcats used to play. Hey, by the way, there we go. That's a good transition here. Here's a trivia for everybody. I want everybody to think about this while we're trying to get to where we're going here, okay? I want everybody to think about it. Here's a little bit of trivia for you here. It's a simple true or false, so a little bit of trivia there for you. Corning High School sport teams have always been named the Bobcats. Is that true or false?
I said we got Don Campbell in here now, so he'd probably know.
Oh, Mr. Campbell. Mr. Campbell, there's Sprague Field right there if you can see it. We got the General Don Campbell on the stream now. I don't know if you can see that. And there's Rob and Cindy Barnett. We appreciate them for tuning in with us. Coach Campbell, do you have any stories from Sprague Field? I know that was a little bit after I think you had came here, or maybe right when you had came here as an assistant. I don't know, but let us know. That's our trivia right there, too, by the way. Our Corning High School sports, have they always been the Bobcats? Let us know, true or false. But, Coach Campbell, here's the view we're talking about of Huddle Plaza, the old Sprague Field. Let us know if you have any stories about it, anything at all. We'd love to hear them. We're going to go ahead and go to the back part of it now. While we do that, I'm going to leave this little trivia up here for you. A little trivia while we're driving around the beautiful crime-free town of Corning, Arkansas, here in the heart of Arkansas. And we got a truck driver there. I hope he's going to get over for us. I was getting a little nervous there for a second.
Yeah.
I think he sees us now. There we go. And we're turning here on Jones and Missouri in Corning. To the right there used to be a restaurant there when I was a youngster called Breakers Drive-In. It was a fantastic restaurant. Loved it. Here recently, Holcomb Steak and Grill was there. We're at St. Matthew Lutheran Church, as you can see on a little bit on your screen there. I got the trivia there in front of you, but you can see a little bit on there. All right. Let's see if we got any answers yet. Dalton Hollingsworth says, I'm going to say false. Okay. I'm going to hang on to your answer, Dalton. I'm not going to give it away just yet. Justin Coleman's watching. Miss Powell's watching. Kevin Rails Corning used to have a pool hall on 2nd Street as well. Glenwood, I believe, the 1968-69 school year was the first at the new high school on Bobcat Lane. I believe that is correct.
There we are.
And again, if you see the trivia on your screen right here, folks, go ahead and chime in with us. Let us know if you think that's true or false. We've got a car coming, so bear with us for just a second. I'm going to let it go by, and when I do, I'm going to get you a picture of this sign here, if we can. Well, I thought it was coming. I guess it's not. There it goes. Slowly coming by us here, folks. I apologize. Again, let us know on the trivia there if you don't mind. That is our trivia for the day. Been trying to do some more stuff like that to kind of get folks engaged here. We're going to back her on out. And I'm going to pull up here a little closer on the gravel road here. As you can see the naming engraved here on the building. And I'm going to get the camera out so we can see that. This is what Drew was talking about earlier as we were talking about the Huddle Plaza building here. And there is the Cochran name right there. It says E.W., Alma, and Rob.
Bob.
Or Bob, I see that now.
Looks like maybe some of it in the bottom's been scratched out.
Yeah, I can see that. I don't know if we can make any sense of that or not. It's really hard to...
maybe 1962 or something. I guess somebody came down here and vandalized it.
It's very, very possible. Unfortunately, if it's true, it's very unfortunate. And there's the date right there. And this is on the back of the Huddle Plaza building. And that's the marker right there. As you can see, we were zoomed in on the part that we think has been vandalized. I don't know what the year is there. If anybody could help us with that, I don't know if anybody knows or not, but really hard to tell from that. And there was some over here too. Yeah, I can't really make anything of that, to be honest with you, Drew. But pretty neat. Again, this is Huddle Plaza here. Again, we talked about Sprague Field being right here, and that was the whole point of driving over here to mention the old Corning Bobcat football field. And we're going to put this down here, and I'm going to flip you back over here to us while we talk about a few comments here. Corey Godwin's watching with us. Corey Godwin's a heck of a ball player. Paige Cat says, hope you don't lose a wheel back there. Yeah, no kidding. It's a little bumpy. Timothy says, true for the trivia. Breakers was the best for high school students. Paige Cat, someone has scratched out the dates. Yes, they have.
Yeah.
We just looked at that, and they definitely have scratched out those dates. We've got 2 guesses so far in the trivia. We're going to put that back up here for just a second.
Somebody said false.
Yeah, we got Dalton Hollingsworth from Erie, Pennsylvania. He said false. And we had Timothy who says true on the trivia. And Drew, while we're allowing them to kind of guess their answer there or collect their answer there, what's next on the agenda for us here? We hit the Latimer house there, I see on the list.
We got Huddle Plaza, yes, movie theater. That's all we had on the list. I know we had
several people mention. I know the Dog and Suds building, I know, was one of them. I heard the roller rink was another one that I had heard mentioned.
Someone mentioned the hospital.
Someone mentioned the hospital. I'll tell you what, while we're here, Drew, and while we're waiting here anyways, have we ever had any famous people maybe come through the town of Corning that you're aware of anyways, that you know of?
I know we've had few from the area become famous. I mean, we've had several politicians, senators from the area, like we mentioned Mr. Brown earlier. Then, like, obviously now we have Blake Johnson.
Yes.
But, I guess politicians are kind of required to have. Other than that, Dado had country music singer Bill Rice.
Okay.
And then Noble had, was it Barbara Fairchild?
Fairchild, yes. And my understanding was Don Williams. I don't know if that's true or not, but and I think they were essentially there at the same time. I don't know how they managed to get them to, Don Williams was, for those youngsters that don't know, he was a very good country singer, as well as Barbara Fairchild, so it was kind of neat. I know I've always heard that President, at the time he was a governor, President Bill Clinton, would come down to the picnic, the summer 4th of July picnic at Wynn Park.
He did that. He had like some barbecue dinners at the high school here.
That's awesome, man. That's really, really neat stuff. Anybody out there that knows of anybody famous that's came through Corning or stopped or been in this area? I'd love to hear your story. We got a lot of people tuning in here with us. Let's see. Page Cat says Breaker was a building they moved in on a trailer. Wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Judy Miller said they added a trailer to the back of it or something.
You can almost see it from here. It's up there to the top left-hand corner of your screen. Not the farthest left building there, but you see a gazebo up there. That's the Breaker building that Miss Page Cat is talking about there. That used to be Breaker, and now it's Holcombs. Of course, now we're empty there, unfortunately. But Glenn Boyd said, I believe Yemnitz IGA was the store name where Black's Building Center is now. I think that's what we had talked about earlier. That's correct, Glenn. That's very good. Glenn knows his stuff too. Glenn, I've talked to before. He knows his stuff. Jenny Guthrie's also watching with us. Timothy says, didn't know that. They just had good Frito pies. They did, and they had this thing called a Cyclone. It was an ice cream. It had I think it was like they'd break off the Oreos. And I think this was before Sonic started doing their what is it called over there? A blast, I think, or whatever.
Yeah.
They would break off these Oreos or cookies, and they would put them in the mix with the ice cream, and they would blend it together. Yeah. And oh my God, it was just like a little slice of heaven. And man, I thoroughly enjoyed that. I know me and a good buddy of mine, Eric Storms, we'd ride our bikes up there all the time and eat that. I mean, just every day. And what was bad is we should have been eating a meal, like a healthy meal. We were just going up there for those. They were called Cyclones then, and we loved them. Landon Thomas is watching. We appreciate he's with the Mighty Manila Lions Facebook page. Hope you guys are doing good. I know there's no sports over there right now, but if you guys need anything, let us know. We'd love to help you out. Dalton Hollingworth said the Big Show and the Undertaker came through. There we go. Some wrestlers, baby. The Big Show was a big old dude, and so was the Undertaker. Some wrestlers there. So,
I'm trying to think if I know anyone. I do know for the Centennial they got trying to do some history stuff. They tried to see if they could find any of the family of H.D. Corning, who the town was named after.
Yeah.
And the only person they found was Erastus Corning, who lived in New York at the time in the Albany era. And he was possibly a kinsman of H.D., and so they found his grandson, who was the mayor of Albany during the 70s.
Wow.
And I think he was the mayor for 23 years, and he came down for the
it's impressive
Centennial, and the chamber gave him it wasn't a plaque, it was a piece of paper. They gave him the title of honorary godfather of Corning, Arkansas.
That's so cool, man.
And that title went to him and all of his descendants.
I didn't know that.
And they also gave him a copy of the Arkansas Traveler.
That's cool.
But I would love for
That's cool, man. That's really neat.
For our sesquicentennial, I'm pretty sure Erastus III is still alive. I don't figure he's able to come down here, but probably, if he has any family or relatives, or even if we can just get a letter.
Yeah, anything would be cool. And I don't know if we have any contacts if he still is in New York or not. I don't know if we have any contacts like that. I know Alyssa Cunningham, I think, lives there. She's from Corning. That's a good bloodline. Mayor of Albany, New York. Albany's a good-sized little place there.
I do know in Albany there's the Erastus Corning II Tower, and it is the tallest tower in the state of New York, outside of New York City.
That is so cool. That is really cool. Larry Huffman's watching. Larry, thanks for tuning in, buddy. He says 1980 on the building to your right. Okay, 1982 on the building to our right. We just talked about that. This is the back of the Huddle Plaza. We'll turn you around here. This is a stationary camera. I don't have my actual camera right now, but I'll get it out here in a minute. But and to our right has a name that says Cochran on the back of it, and Bob, Alma, and E.W. And the scratched out portion on the far right-hand lower corner, Larry is telling us is 1982. So thank you, Larry, for that. We appreciate that. As Zach Brown's tuning in with us, appreciate you, buddy. Robin Black says, anyone remember Jimmy's Drive-In and the Purple Cow? Does that have you ever heard of those two? Because I haven't heard of either one of those, Robin. Is that here in Corning? Robin, if you're still with us, let us know. And let us know where those were. Maybe we could go find those for you. Dalton Hollingsworth says the Purple Cow was so good. So evidently it was a good little spot here in town. I did not know that. Mark Woods is watching. Don Hubbard said there was a train explosion close to the rice dryer back in the 60s. I didn't know that either.
It was they were hauling, I believe, ammunition, and when the cars exploded, Mom was living up at the state line at the time when she was a kid, and it shattered and broke a lot of windows on First Street here in town.
Wow.
I do know in the Christian church there on First Street, across from the old post office, that's the Mason Young's clinic. I got to go in there one day and take some pictures. But one of the stained glass windows, the lead in it is bowed out, and they said one of the members of that church said that window broke and it bent during when that ammunition went off on that train.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a heavy explosion to go across the street, cross sidewalks into those buildings, and to do that. Wow, that's
that's all the way,
That's pretty intense.
That was on 4th Street, so.
That's pretty intense to do that kind of stuff. J.H. Armour's on with us right now. J.H., we appreciate you for tuning in, buddy. Thank you, sir. Miss Wright says Gary Murray. I forgot Gary Murray. That's true. Fiddler of Song, a wagon wheel. Love that. Little Darius Rucker, the old Hootie and the Blowfish, is from Corning. That's Gary Murray. Very good. I knew that, and that's my fault. Bruce Katz also tuned in with the Shelby Handwork. Wasn't there a truck stop at the intersection where Subway is?
I knew in the 50s there was a tourist court.
A what now?
A tourist court is kind of like a little motel
okay.
kind of thing.
Cool. Right there where at that corner there?
Where Subway is now.
Subway is now, yeah. Maybe Shelby's talking about that little gravel area in between McDonald's and Subway right now. Maybe. I know there's been a lot of trucks that would stop there in the past. I don't know if they're allowed to now. I don't know how that works. I don't know anything about that. But Erica Masterson's also watching. Got some more people there. They didn't see me waving. I'm trying to get all the waves I can today. That's a beautiful thing about a small town. They like to wave at you. Erica Masterson, a train also derailed in the 90s. My grandma lived on 1st Street and was interviewed on KIT. Didn't know that either. I remember not too long ago we had the issue down there. Train had
hit a semi.
Hit a
semi got stuck in the crossing.
And boy, that's scary. Man, that's really scary. But Robin Black, Jimmy's was in two locations, both across the highway from John Deere. The Purple Cow is where Harold's Barbecue is right now. Did not know that. That's new information I did not know. Guys, all right, so we're not done here. Y'all had mentioned we didn't have these on our list. Okay, our list is about we're checked off of it, but we're not done. You guys had mentioned some stuff. We heard about the roller rink,
the drive-in,
and then Dog and Suds,
and someone mentioned hospital. So
okay,
we'd all hit those.
Okay, so we're going to hit those now. Again, guys, let us know where you're tuning in from. Also, there was a trivia question as well we wanted you to talk about. We've had 2 guesses so far. Corning High School sports teams have always been named the Bobcats. True or false? Very simple. You ain't got to dig up any research on any years or anything like that, anything silly. I wasn't going to do that to you today. Make it kind of easy for you. So that's our trivia question. So I'm going to turn the camera back over, and we're going to go check out these spots that you guys had requested. I'm going to get my flashers off here, and here we go. All right, Drew, make sure I go the quickest way. So I'm not sure, 100% sure. I know the Dog and Suds was out going towards Success right there in that corner of the road right there before you turn. Is that somewhere close to where the old skating rink or roller rink was?
Those are on the way before you get there.
On the way before you get there. So do we want to hit those first? Or?
I guess we can. Do you want to hit the hospital on the way there or on the way back?
We can hit it on the way there. That's not a problem at all.
All right.
You just let me know. Make sure I don't miss my turns here. So here we go. That's an old Money Miser building right there, old gas station that used to be here in Corning. I believe Kurt Fowler owns. And unfortunately it's has shut down since. And, again, this is kind of the main, I don't know if you'd call it drag or main spot here in Corning. You see the stoplight straight ahead. And we've got our fast food restaurants, our dollar store there, and our gas station, one of our gas stations here on the far right. This is the far right here. This is where the Subway's at, by the way. I know we mentioned that earlier. Right here in that gas station to the right there, as you see. And we're coming up here, so I'm going to hook her right here. And we're coming into a few more local businesses like the Riverbank there you see. Also Goodman Drug, which should be on your screen right now. We're going to yield right here to the right. I don't know if you can see it, but Harold's Barbecue. That's a Lyndon Massey owns that. Fantastic barbecue there. Also, John Deere, the legacy equipment here in Corning, Arkansas, to our right. Several little spots over here like White Barn Creation to our left. We've been blessed to keep a few small town stuff going here and love that. Got a Mexican restaurant to our left, a home care medical, and a laundromat to our right. I apologize, I'm trying to get my seatbelt on. O'Reilly's. There we go. The car wash. The Brad Senior Center there. And I'm getting a phone call from someone, which I'm going to ignore. I'm going to ignore there. Apologize, folks, if that came through the speakers here. Casey's Gas Station. Parkview Restaurant to our left. It's been there a long time, and I believe they're even open today. Parkview Motel. Living Word Fellowship to our right. To our left up here is the Chamber of Commerce and also Wynn Park as well. And I guess on the way back we can kind of hit up Wynn Park. I'm going to turn in here for just a second. Just a second. I'm just going to turn in here for just a second. This is our old Walmart here, our abandoned Walmart. Drew, do you remember what year Walmart came in? Was it in the 60s?
In the 80s.
Okay.
I
was way off then. I'm sorry. You know what I'm going to do from now on? I'm just going to shut up.
I mean, I could be wrong. I mean,
I had been in contact with the owner of this building, all of the land around here, and including the old Pizza Hut building, and we are trying to work something out right now. We're hoping to have some exciting news about this Pizza Hut building, all this land right here that you see, and this Walmart building right here. We're really close. I'll know something in the middle of April, and I think his property goes all the way over here to close to where Connie Pendergrass's place is. All that grass and everything over there. So that's a lot of land. In fact, it's about 7.3 acres of land and a couple of buildings that could really help us out here in the town. Again, that's the old Pizza Hut building. We're going around in circles. Me and Drew's getting sick, getting a little dizzy. And the Walmart building right there. I promise I'm working on something. I can't make promises that it's going to come through, but I'll know something here pretty soon in the middle of April. I'm working on behalf of Growing Corning Together, trying to make something happen there. As Anna Bowser's on with us, Larry Huffman said there was a corner cafe and truck repair and wait station. Okay, well, there we go. That answers that on the corner over there where Subway's at right now. Rob Arndt's watching. Donnie Hubbard said, before the Dog and Suds on the left was a drive-in theater, and the roller rink is just down, owned by the Spences, was on the right. Paige Cat said Old Hospitals is behind the high school.
Yeah.
Paige, they are probably telling you, wrong way! Wrong way! Well, we didn't know if we were going to get it first or last. We didn't know. Mexican restaurant used to be Leonard's Grocery. That is true. Yes, it is. Good job, Robin Black.
Walmart came 78 or 77. See, that's why I didn't talk. I was thinking.
We were both wrong.
I was thinking 87
we were
or
both
88.
Wrong.
See, that's why I didn't want to say anything.
We were both wrong. I apologize. Hi, and speaking of, you see that big building there in the middle of your screen there? That one right there as well is up for, I think it's up for sale, maybe for rent, whatever. I know Kurt Fowler owns that, and he's got it on the AEDC website. And, man, if we got any businesses that could go in there, that would be fantastic. That's a massive building, folks. In fact, the square footage of the building itself is bigger than the Walmart building itself. Now, if you add the Walmart storage and all that, I don't know if it is or not, but that is a big building right there. So, and that's right across from the Walmart, right there beside the Wynn Park here in Corning, Arkansas. And Paige Cat said the 70s. Of course, Don said 77, 78. Shelby Henwick said Leonard's Food Center. Robin, Cindy Barnett said Walmart opened in 70. I know. We butchered it. I thought 60s. He thought 80s. We were wrong.
I knew there was an 8 in it.
That's your excuse. Yeah, way to go. Glenn Boyd said before Casey's used to be Fry Equipment. All right, guys, I'm going to get us on the road here. I'm going to get us on 67 here. And we're going to try, if we can.
Where are you heading?
I'm heading the wrong way, like Paige said.
Yeah.
We're going to try if we can to get your spots. I'm going to circle back around and try to get the hospital first. We're going to try to get your spots if we can. Pizza Hut, no Pizza Hut. It's closed. Yes, Pizza Hut's closed right now. That's the reason why I'm coming out here. I wanted to show you those buildings really quick because, again, we are working on those. We're trying to get something done there, I promise. I didn't want people to think, man, those things have been vacant and been empty for a while. Why is that? I promise we're trying. We're working on it. So And that's the reason I'm trying to bring you out here. Larry Huffman said the building across the road was the old shoe factory. Yes, that is true, Larry.
Mm-hmm.
The old shoe factory, that was the one across the road there from the Walmart. Glenn Boyd, that was the old shoe factory. Very good. We got some history buffs on here with us. I appreciate you guys. Thank you. Thank you so much. So
Shelby said it was Clayton, and I believe it was Johansson after that.
Yeah. And, of course, Tara Kegley's on with us as well. We appreciate everybody for tuning in with us. Thank you, guys. Again, we're going a little memory lane. We're going to go find the old hospital right now. We're going to hit it first, and then we're going to go hit the old Dog and Suds, the roller rink. There was another drive-in movie theater, is that right? On the way there, too. So we're taking you down a road that we haven't been down yet today, a little back in. And the reason why I'm doing that as well is because there's one more that I want to hit personally. I don't remember the name of the field, but there is an old baseball field out here, and it means a lot to me. I hit my first home run out here, and I'll never forget it.
I believe it was called Lilliard.
I think you're right. That is correct. That is correct.
It was. I remember.
Yes.
My grandma lived out here in Gregory, so me, John, and Brandon, we'd always come out here. You can see where the building used to be.
Folks, this right here doesn't look like much right now at all. But this right here was a fun place. I got my hazards on, so hopefully everybody understands that. But this right here has a lot of memories for me. This is, I think Drew's right, Lilliard Field maybe, and we may be butchering that a little bit. I don't know, but this little place right here meant a lot to me. We used to have several baseball games out here. You can kind of see where the, I guess the press box or maybe the concession stand, whatever it was right there, was the concrete slab there for it. But center field was dead out there. This is kind of the orientation right here of the baseball diamond. We're kind of right behind home plate, or what would have been home plate, and kind of where that stop sign is out there. I don't know if y'all can see that or not on the screen. Try to zoom in a little bit for you. Right there where that stop sign is out there. That's right around center field right there. And, man, for me personally, never forget first home run, hit it out here. There was a cornfield out here at one time, and I hit it out there. Never found that baseball. Still don't know where that baseball went, but I know a lot of people had a lot of fun out here. And I think Drew's right, Lilliard Field. This one had a lot of memories for a lot of people. So sorry for the detour there, but I wanted to get that in there if we could. And let's see here. We've got Mitch Brown. Don Hubbard said bowling alley with manual pin setters. That's right.
Yeah.
That is correct. I remember now, Don, if we're talking about the same bowling alley, and there might have been another bowling alley, I don't know, but when I was younger, which I think is Living Word Fellowship now, which is right beside Connie Pendergrass's place, used to be the bowling alley. If that's the same one you're talking about, Don, which is right across the street from the Chamber of Commerce. If that's the same one you're meaning. There might have been another one back in the past I didn't know about. What about D's Drive-In, Mitch Brown says. I don't even remember that one, Mitch. I don't even know if I've ever heard of anybody talking about a D's Drive-In. I'd be curious to know where that was at and what they served. Any stories? Paige Cat says Tara Kegley is old. She should know everything. Tara, shots are fired. If you're still on with us, as Alyssa Arnold is. Don Hover said Lillard. That's it. Lillard Baseball Field. Played Little League there.
Yeah.
Yes. As did I, sir. And it was a lot of fond memories of Lillard there. And that baseball's somewhere out there still to this day. I'd love to know where it's at. But either way, Larry Huffman said I could enlighten you on lots of stuff. Been here since 1963. Well, there might be another good person in contact to get in touch with, Drew, to create this book maybe. Several of y'all, Shelby Homework, that's when there was tryouts. Yes, that's very true. RG Martin is watching. RG knows about Lillard Field. I know he remembers it.
Glenn said there was a ball field behind Park. Yeah.
Behind Park. I'm trying to think. Behind Park School.
Behind where Parkview is?
Yeah. Yes. And matter of fact, Rich Martin was telling me about that the other day. What did he say? There was some type of men's league there. Whether I don't know if it's slow pitch softball or if they had a fast pitch, I don't know, and maybe another league there. Archie Martin may know. That was his dad, Rich Martin, but that is true. Don Hubbard said Lillard Field was a fine little league field in its day. Yes, it was. Mary Hensley's on with us. Janet Allen, Tina Guthrie's on here with us as well. Glenn says I think they may be referring to Griggs Lanes. Was here before the one at Living. Okay, Griggs Lane. See, I didn't know we had a Griggs Lanes. Drew, do you know anything about a Griggs Lanes, where that would have been?
It's
a bowling alley?
It's a street.
I thought he meant the bowling alley.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, I don't either. But Buster Griggs had a bowling. There we go. Buster Griggs had a bowling alley too, close to Donnie Martin Center. Says Paige Cat.
Okay. Yeah.
There we go. We're getting answers now. We're starting to get some answers. Y'all guys are tuning in with us, and you're helping out, and we appreciate it. Mitch Brown was very west side Westwood Acres on 67. Been around since 59. We appreciate you, Mitch. We really, really do. And R.J. Martin, good memories at that field. I heard about the death of the Cardinals Darryl Kyle right before a scrimmage game at that field. Man, never forget number 57 Darryl Kyle from the Cardinals. Sad ordeal there, and definitely those things that happen that bring back memories for you. That's definitely one of them. John and Virginia Harvey, we played slow pitch softball. It was called Wynn Park. Well, there you go. They're talking about kind of right behind Parkview, behind the Park School there. Jim Woods is watching. Glenn did say Griggs Lanes was a bowling alley. Yeah, shows what we know. But hey, we've gotten through a lot of good stuff today. All right, Drew, don't let me miss the hospital now. We're going to go to the old hospital.
All right.
Make sure I don't pass this up here.
Turn down Lee Drive and then on Hospital Drive.
How did you? That is really good, man. You are sharp.
I take this road to my house. So.
Oh, there we go. Now, see, if you hadn't have said that, man, you could have totally played that off. But no.
Yeah, someone mentioned Basler Electric was on the left.
Yes. Hey, speaking of Basler Electric, too, I want to talk about that for just a second if we can. Spoke to one of the owners of that. There's about 3 or 4. I can't remember exactly how many. But if there's a business that would like to go in there, they don't want to just give it to anybody, okay? That's what they're trying to say. If there's a business that they feel like could truly grow Corning in that 37,500 square feet building with offices in front and plenty of room in the back, about 10, 12-foot ceilings back here, they would gladly do it for rent-free. The Basler building that we just talked about, that who mentioned it? Somebody had mentioned it earlier. I can't remember who. Anyway, somebody mentioned about the Basler building. But anyways, yes, they will gladly work with whoever if we can get any kind of business in there. So let's work on that as we're coming up here to Hospital Drive here, as Drew had mentioned. Off of Lee Drive. This is the corner of Lee Drive and Hospital Drive. And it was Larry Huffman that mentioned the Basler. Yeah, so that's the Basler building we wanted to talk about there. So,
yep. So
I'm assuming up here on our right is going to be the old hospital building. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull you up. I'm not really sure where the best spot would be.
So you can drive around it.
We can drive around it.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get my camera out and my manual camera here. So if y'all give me just a second, and we'll get some views of this old hospital here. That was the old hospital in Corning. All right, let's get this. Oops, I hit a bad button. There we go. All right, so I'm going to give you a little tour here. And Drew, do you have any? I know this wasn't on our list. This wasn't something that you've probably studied, but do you have any kind of history about the old hospital here?
I mean, I know it was and then it was not.
That's about what we know on this one, guys, so we apologize. We've had a lot of history that we went through today. I don't know how Drew remembers it all, to tell you the truth. I really don't. But
I say most of the stuff I know is from 1870s till probably 1920s to 30s. So really anything after that is not really what I read and study a lot.
Gotcha. So you're a little bit the older stuff. So if anybody knows any history on this right here, the old hospital building, I know Paige Cat was on there with us just a second ago. Maybe she can give us some updates as Don Hubbard says, well, we'll get to his comment here in just a second. We'll give you a little bit more of a wrap around here of the old hospital building as I'm about to hit a big old thing of straw there in the middle of the road. Again, the old Corning Hospital building right here. And again, if anybody knows any history on this, or maybe you worked there, maybe you have some stories from there, whatever it may be, just let us know. Chime in on the comment section there, and we'd love to engage with you about it. And, Drew, this is still open. I'm not sure at what capacity or exactly what goes on in there now, but
it's Mid-South Health Center.
This is our Mid-South Health Center here.
Probably says on the sign here.
I bet it will. That's covered up. But We've got one up here beside it too, so we'll try to get the sign up here if we can. There we go. This is going to give you an idea of what's going on in this building right here now. For those that maybe back when they were here, it was the old hospital, and that's what you're dealing with there now. And obviously another business in town that we're proud of and proud to have. Got a little sand volleyball out there. Now that's what I'm talking about. A little sand volleyball, some picnic tables, the basketball court out there. I'm not athletic enough to jump that fence to even try to play some basketball right now, but I'm not even really athletic enough to even go up and down that court right there, even though it's a small court. So, all right, guys, that right there is your old hospital building, and I'm going to detour to the side here to get out of here. But if there's any stories there, we'd love to hear them. We're going to go back to the front camera here on the front of the car. As I'm going to put that down, and we're going to try to catch up. We got a lot of people tuning in and talking here, so we're going to try to catch up to you, I promise. There was two businesses that built pool tables, Brown's Billiards and Walls, and then there was an old oil company out there too, Blackman's Oil.
Yeah.
That was from John and Virginia
Harvey.
Harvey.
Blackman, they've tore the rest of that down a few years, I think last year actually.
Don Hubbard says Baptist Memorial Hospital owned the hospital. My sister was the director of nursing. Very good. And I worked in maintenance from 1980, 1982. There you go. Very cool. So that's got a little history for Don for sure. Kelly Barker's also watching. Angela Boyd said, oh, she's got a long one here, so bear with us here. Coleman's Barbecue on the corner of Bobcat Lane, where First National Bank is now. On down was a drive-in, Nick's maybe, and another. I'm going to let you finish that one, Drew.
All right.
While I'm driving here.
I'll take it in my hand.
That's fine. You go ahead. Do what you got to do, man. Do what you got to do. And while he's reading off that, I'm gonna put the trivia back on there too, okay?
All right. Coleman's Barbecue on the corner of Bobcat Lane where First National Bank is now. On down was a drive-in, Nick's maybe, and across from John Deere. On second was the Treasure Chest, Margie's, Graber's, and then Rapans. Fred's, the theater, Pulhar, the Cougar, Kate's Pharmacy, IJ, Johansson's Shoe Store, Family Shoe Store, Farrell's Jewelry, Tezzy Smith's Store, Johnson Jewelry, Front Street had Ben Franklin, Craigos Diner, The Cleaners, Usave Mart, Roex Jewelry, Woods Department Store, Rexall, maybe, Drugstore, and we had a bowling alley, skating rink, Blacks and Arnold's, Brothers Lumber. At the intersection, there's a restaurant/truck stop, and later became an antique junk store. Also, Gold Nugget and the Dog and Suds Marine Station, where Taco Bell is located, and I'm sure there's more.
Goodness, hey, great job. We appreciate all that. We'll put it back up here now. That was a long one there. We've got Dakota Cochran's on with us right now, and thank you, Angela Boyd. We appreciate that. Glenn Boyd says, I believe it went out in the early 90s, so thank you for that. Don Hopkins Jr. R.G. Martin Mid-South Health Systems did and may still run their 9/11 program there. Didn't know that. Jeremy, it used to be a gym called Care Center. Didn't know that either. Marka Davis is watching. Larry Huffman. So when you get to it, the building across from the hospital was Baker Pharmacy. We've seen that, Larry. Russum Dentist and Doctor's Office. Angela Boyd, I was a candy striper there when they opened about 79 maybe. That's pretty cool, a candy striper. That's unique. I'd like to hear a little more about that, honestly. That's kind of cool. Don Hopkins Jr. built in 76, 77 by the Corning Hospital Board. Didn't even know we had a Corning Hospital Board. That's kind of cool. Susie Irwin said, I worked at hospital laboratory. Very cool. Very neat. Very neat job, too, I'd imagine, in laboratory. Hope no one's behind us here, so we're good. Natasha Cossey is watching. Don Campbell, here we go. Let's see. Ramdu Lillard was a quarterback for Coach Dutch No in his first years there in 1969. The Little League was named after his dad. That's very cool. So Ramdu Lillard was a quarterback for Coach Dutch No, legendary Coach Dutch No here in Corning, Arkansas. And in his first year there in 1969, and that Little League field, that Lillard field that we spoke very highly of, that we all have fond memories of, was named after his dad. So Luke McDonald's watching, Stacy Young. All right, now I think we can head on out. Listen, our system, we've never done this. We're about to go outskirts of town, and we're sucking off of two bonding cellular towers services from Verizon and AT&T right now with our system back here. So hopefully when we go out there, we don't lose you. But we might. If we do, just bear with us. When we come back in town, you'll be able to see us and hear us again and see us clear. So we're gonna take a risk. We're gonna go out there. I don't know what this is gonna do. Never done this, so stay with us if this thing gets a little choppy or you can't hear us or whatever. So we're going to go back out to the front view, and here we go. So we're heading out. I'll wait for that big truck to go by first. But, again, you see the trivia on there as well. We want you to, if you don't mind, let us know true or false there. I didn't want to make it a hard trivia when we're doing all this other stuff too, but true or false there. We had 2 guesses earlier, so we'll see if they're right or wrong here in just a little bit. And here we go. We are clear to go. So, again, bear with us. I don't know if you're going to be able to hear us or not or see us, but we're going to try it anyways. And this is going north of town. We're on essentially Highway 67. I know it's Missouri Avenue probably until we get up here, maybe officially Highway 67, but 55-mile-an-hour speed limit, so we'll be able to crank it up a little bit and let those horses gallop some. As again, we appreciate everybody for tuning in with us. We got Michelle Thompson just tuned in with us. Thank you, and so did Whitley Bolin. We appreciate you 2 ladies for jumping on board with us. If y'all just tuned in, which y'all did, and so did Kara Johnson and Stacy Young, we are heading out to, my understanding is, what the old roller rink used to be, an old drive-in movie theater, and also an old Dog and Suds restaurant. Out here north of town, kind of like if you're heading to Neelyville, Naylor, Poplar Bluff area, out here north of town, so, or even Success, because I think the road to turn off there is fairly close. So we're heading out there now. Now, something I remember, Drew, and I don't know how many people remember, but up here on the left used to be an old trailer court, trailer park.
And before that, it was the drive-in movie theater.
Was it really?
Yep.
Very good. So there's our first
There you
stop. I did not know that. You learn something new every day, folks. Every day. All right, I'm going to pull in here if the terrain is permitting. And what I mean by that, we are in a car, so I don't want to get us stuck by any means. But, okay, I think it's decent enough for at least right here.
Yeah.
All right, so this is what used to be the old trailer park. And in fact, you can kind of still see a trailer there. I'm going to open up the sunroof and get the camera out and kind of zoom in and out of some things here. But so this is where the old drive-in movie theater was.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct? Okay.
Yep.
Does anybody watching at home know when that movie theater was around? Drew, do you know by chance?
I'm not going to try with dates.
We've tried guessing earlier, and it didn't work out very well. So, again, this is right on Highway 67 here, just right off the highway. You see the highway right there. See the big trucks coming by. And our understanding, this used to be the old movie theater. Of course, used to be a trailer park, too. Christine Hollis is with us, William Kraft, Jordan Wilson, Kevin Earls. Your dad and I used to go skating there a lot on the weekends at the old roller rink. I guess I'm assuming is what he's talking about. Now, is this where the roller rink was, too, Drew?
It's on down the road.
Okay, so it's on down the road. So, again, guys, I'll zoom in a little bit. Again, this used to be a trailer park, and you kind of still see a trailer right there. It used to be the old drive-in movie theater. So if anybody's got any stories about the old drive-in movie theater, we'd love to hear them. And any dates that it was around, maybe, any kind of information, any kind of tidbits, we sure would love to hear it. Again, that's old drive-in movie theater. I'll get you back to the front of the car here because we got some more stops to make. Drew, do you have anywhere to be right now? I hope I ain't keeping you from anything important today.
I got some homework to do later.
Got some homework to do. Okay, so we won't keep him out too late. I don't want to be the cause of him having a failing grade by any means. So we've got a big truck back there, and he's turning this way. So I'm gonna give it some time here. In fact, I may even turn it or try to turn around here in a minute if we can't. But again, this has been a lot of fun so far. We got a few more stops to go, and if anybody else has anything, let us know. Marissa's on with us. Miss Wright said, I worked there in the summer of 1958. Sold tickets. Well, there you go. So we know it was open in 1958.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty neat. Miss Wright sold tickets there.
Got one more, I guess.
Yeah, we got one more, and we got some trucks that are pulling out, I guess, from the old Pico or from the Pico place out there. And I definitely don't want to pull out in front of those gentlemen, and that's not fun getting those things started up and getting them through the gears, and don't want to cut out in front of them by any means if we can help it. So again, guys, this is a tour of a little strolling through memory lane here with Drew Calhoun, or I call him our history buff here in Corning. We got a few more on today too. That's good history, people. We appreciate y'all for engaging with us, and we got a few more things here. My mom dropped me off at the skating rink, and for some reason there was no skating. I had to walk the side of the highway to Dog and Suds to call her to come get me. Oh, that's great. That is fantastic. We got one more big truck coming.
Donna Brownie says they're in the 50s and 60s.
That's awesome. Paige, that's a fantastic. I love that story. That is a fantastic story, and I absolutely love it. And we're eventually going to get out of here, folks. I probably shouldn't have pulled in like I did. We got a couple of trucks coming here, but we will get out here pretty soon. And we'll get you on to what I'm understanding is the roller rink and the old Dog and Suds restaurant. And, man, restaurant, that sounds pretty good. I'm getting a little hungry. I might have to get one of our local restaurants to try here in just a little bit. And I think we're finally clear to back her on out, which is what we're going to do. And put her in drive, and we're going to get back going here. I'm going to flip you back over, guys. Here we are. All right. Let's see. Shelby Handwork. There was a swing set there when I was a kid at the old drive-in. I was born in '63. Very good. Nice little tidbit there. Jake Kegley's watching. Don Hubbard said, I would guess that drive-in was gone in the mid-'60s, but I'm guessing. All right, do I need to slow down?
I think it's the next patch of woods.
Okay. And then we've got Donna Brownie said it was there in the 60s and the 50s. Andrew Hawkins is watching. Timothy Baumgartner says funny with some exclamation points. All right, now you tell me when I need to slow down or what I need to do.
I think it's here on the right here.
It's here on the right here?
Out here in the woods here.
Out here in the woods. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my flashers on, pull it over to the side of the road. Give these people just enough room to...
I guess it's not here. I guess it's on down. It is. Next fence row. My bad.
Okay. Again, guys, none of this is planned. We're just going off here, and this is the first time we've done this, so it's all new to us. So
Here
all
it
right,
is.
Here we go. So
this I believe is it. This is what I was always told it was.
Okay. So this right here is what Drew was always told. I'm going to put it in park, open up the sunroof, get the flashers on, and we're going to get the camera out. And maybe you guys watching at home or wherever you're watching from can kind of help us out here and let us know if this is truly. Our understanding is this is where the old roller skating rink used to be, right here, right off Highway 67. Just north of Corning. Again, I don't even know. I hate to even try to guess. Just a couple miles outskirts of Corning here, I guess. I don't know if anybody's got any comments here yet. Paige Cat says, you are old too. Paige is throwing it down today now. She's letting them hear about it. Age is just a number, Paige. Miss Paige. We appreciate her. She's helped out a lot with growing Corning together, too. She's a good one. Jeff Kraft is also watching with us. Again, this is the old roller rink. Part of the building is there, Paige says. I wonder, I don't know which one of these buildings would be it, but there's a building right there.
So there's a building way in the back.
There's a building right there. Paige, I don't know which one you're mentioning, but I don't know if it's either one of those or not, but I think there's a house in the back there. There's another, let's see if you can see it through the woods there. There's another building back there, but not sure which one she's referring to. But either way, Sue Irwin says, tornado tore it down. I did not know that. It's very interesting, too. Tornado tore it down. Ryan Carter's watching. Kevin Earls, I think that's where your dad met his first girlfriend. His first of many. I'm kidding. I'm giving him a hard time. John Virginia Harvey, that's it. Had an old wooden floor. The Spences ran it when I was a teenager. Tons of fun. Erica Masterson was hit by a tornado, I believe, in the 90s. Man, there's a lot of bad things happening in the 90s in Corning. That was a bad decade for us. Don Hubbard, Paige, we are all old now. John and Virginia Harvey said it's the one on the right. So are we talking about this one right here, that building right there, guys? Harvey's, if y'all would let us know. That we may have finally figured out which building it was. Is Jerry Songer's with us as well? We appreciate you, buddy. Paige Cat, the first building. So it's got to be that one right there.
Has to be.
So that's got to be it right there, folks. That's got to be our building. That's got to be the old roller skating rink, or what is left of it. Not much, but essentially debris at this point. And we're being told by several in the 90s that was all due to a tornado tearing it down, ripping through it. It's still standing, though. I love it. Love it. A little bit of piece of history there. I wonder who owns it now. They said the Spences owned it back then. I don't know if anybody owns the land out here or not. I don't know what the story there is, but The roller rink was where I grew up, Shelby Henwork said. It was in the family. I had skates on before I could walk. Well, that's pretty cool. That is cool. Don Hubbard, I think the Spences lived in the house you showed. So the house either, well, it's probably not this one. Well, I guess it could have been. Or this one back, if I can find it on the screen. There we go, back there. And the Spences is the one that owned the roller rink, is what Mr. Hubbard's telling us there. So if anybody has any stories of that, let us know. We're going to get you back to the front of the car view here. And we're going to hit our next spot, which I believe is the old Dog and Suds restaurant. I'm just glad everybody can still see us. I didn't know this thing would work out this far or not. Yeah. So I'm just thrilled about that. And this is actually a really good time to go ahead and get back on the road. There's no one behind us.
Paige said they interviewed Wanda Almendinger when the tornado hit.
Oh, wow. Wanda still works the gates and I guess you'd call it the front desk there as you come in the gymnasium, and also the ticket booth at the Corning High School football games and basketball games. We sure do appreciate her. And we're heading out here. And, Drew, am I right? Is it somewhere up here in between all this stuff?
Yep.
Okay. Would it be better to hook a left right here?
No. I guess you can go ahead and go on down.
Okay. Go on down here. All right. Donna Bronny says they still own it. So the Spences still own that land and building, whatever it may be down there. You just tell me whenever I need a turn, buddy.
It's if I'm correct, it's this building right up here.
Okay. See, I thought it was in the little square or the triangle there, but I'm sure I'm wrong. Like always, but
I mean, I could be wrong too. I believe it's this building right here.
All right, we're going to this building up here on the left of your screen here. I'm gonna try to get off the road here. There's nobody coming, so I'll jump off right here. That'll give us ample opportunity to put our hazard on, put it in park, and also open the sunroof, get you a picture of what we believe to be the old Dog and Suds building. Paige Cat, see how far I had to walk? Paige, that was a long way now, I'll tell you what. Paige is still in good shape. I bet she could walk it right now, actually. That's funny.
Somebody said no, you passed it.
Did I?
I don't know. Is this not it?
Well, that's what I thought. Okay, let us know, guys. Let us know. Is this it? Is this the old Dog and Suds building? See, I thought it was over there, a little bit further back behind. Well, I guess you could probably see in the rearview mirror there, or the mirror there. I thought it was back there somewhere where the mirror's at, but I don't know.
Is it this building or is it over by the Landmark Church?
This was the Golden Nugget.
Okay.
So this place right here was the Golden Nugget, is what we're being told. We've got some phone numbers there. Better get off the screen.
What's that sign said? No.
All right, let's get back on that sign. Okay, so no narcotics, no alcoholic beverages. Can't read what's on the front of that. Something about something or used on this lot. Sold or used on this lot.
I guess people probably parked cars here at some point and sold them.
Yeah, it says no unattended cars either, which is ours is attended right now.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the Golden Nugget. Is that what we're being told? No, it's in the triangle. See, that's what I thought too.
Okay.
The first time today I was right, and I'm taking it. I am taking it. Danny Ridge watching, Ryan Carter. Is this the flea market building? Dog and Suds is the white building going back to town on the right. We're going to turn around and get it. And as Donna Bronny said, this is also the flea market building where the flea market sign is. Okay.
All right,
we're going to put back on this camera right here. And we're going to turn her around. Turn around. And I'm going to wait for that big truck first. But we're going to turn it around. We're going to get you back to the old Dog and Suds building. And I think that may end up being our last. While we're waiting to turn around, this is the trivia question for you guys. See if anybody gets this one or not. I didn't want to get like a long thing where you had to research and get an answer for. I just wanted it simple, so I made it a simple yes or no or true or false type of deal. So, and that's what it is. But let us know what your answer there is on that, if you don't mind, while we're trying to figure out a way to get out of this thing here and get you back to the Dog and Suds building. I think we're almost there.
Got one more.
One more behind this one. And then we should be able to do what we need to do here to get turned back around. So, all right, guys. You see a flying service out there. And we're going to sharp right. Here we go. All right. And from my understanding from them, from our fine viewers right now, that this white flea market building up here is what the old Dog and Suds used to be. If I'm understanding, it does say A&W Flea Market.
Yeah,
that is kind of neat.
I don't in here.
I don't know if we're allowed to pull in here or not, but we may hear some shots fired here soon. But it's my understanding that this is the old Dog and Suds. Guys, did we get it right this time? Let us know. I'm going to pull past it. I'm just going to drive through here like I own the place, which is not something I should be doing. But
I guess if you want me to show you one more, I'll show you kind of an interesting one.
Okay, yeah, I definitely want to see and hear
that.
While we're over here though, I want to hear anybody's stories on the Dog and Suds. I'm gonna get to a spot where I can park and show it to you a little bit better. I want to hear if anybody has any old Dog and Suds stories. If anybody ever worked there, anybody know maybe who owned the building, how long it was there. Any reasons why maybe it would have closed, anything like that would be fantastic. I'm going to park right here while we have an opportunity. All right, let's take you off the trivia question there. And let's get you. Here we are. And again, this is what we're being told is the old Dog and Suds building right here. Right off 67 there, you see the highway as it curves. And you see 328, I believe it is, down there. Yeah, we'll zoom in to make sure, yeah. And, of course, that road right there will take you all the way down to Success there. That's a road to success right over there. That's the old saying. But that is the old Dog and Suds right there. I don't know what we have here. If we have Miss Wright said, my Uncle Frank Kimball was the first owner. Very good. And Don says, now you got it, Andy. There we go. Yes, owned by Ron Crouch. Very good. Now we know. Now we know the old Dog and Suds building there, and I've heard a lot of old Dog and Suds stuff in the past. So, for any Corning folks that don't know, that's where the old building used to be. I've even got people in Poplar Bluff that knew about this because I work in Poplar Bluff, and I have a lot of people talk about the old Dog and Suds building. So, all right, guys, we are going to go away from that for a second.
The last one we can do is right across the road. You can film it from here.
Okay. It's right across the road. You said you got one more for us. Is that correct?
Yeah, you can film it from here. Probably.
We can film it from here. Okay, so we're gonna turn back around then.
No, you can.
Will you use it with this camera here?
Probably.
All right, I'm gonna grab the old handy dandy Canon camera here, and I'm gonna turn it around. I'm gonna go through the sunroof here.
Right across the road here. I can't remember whose farm this is, but they have the old Moark train depot.
Okay. The old Moark train depot. Now, do you know roughly where this would be on the?
It's the right corner of the property.
So the right corner of the property. So saying somewhere over here.
Yeah, zoom in right there.
Right there.
Yeah.
Okay, so somewhere over here.
To your left.
Right here.
To your left, some right there.
And that's it.
Yep, that was the old train station at Moark.
Wow, that's really, really neat. Yeah, I don't know who owns that right there or owns this farm out here, but that is really, really cool. We can almost see through the windows there as we zoom in. I can't hold this thing very still. I don't have this on a tripod. That's just me holding it, by the way. I apologize, but and again, tell them what that was at one time.
That was the it wasn't the original. The original caught on fire, but that was the replacement depot that the Missouri Pacific Railroad gave to Moark. So they could probably use it as a train station and a post office. But whoever, I can't remember whose farm this is, but he I guess bought it because I figured the railroad company was going to tear it down, and he bought it and put it out here on his farm.
That is awesome.
And saved it.
Now, I don't know who lives back here behind us. Have no clue. I'm going to look in the rear view mirror here, though. Drew, does this caboose that I'm seeing back there, does that train car have anything to do with that?
I believe these people are the same family, so they own a lot of this.
I'm going to click on this so you can see it. I finally got it on camera there. And you see a train cart there, kind of a caboose there, and it's like a little railroad type of sign or crossing there. It's really hard to see through that mirror. And that's right behind us there. That's really, really neat. May even be track there. I can't really tell.
I think it's standing on track, yeah.
Yeah, that's really, really cool.
I remember when I was a kid, they used to put Christmas lights on it, I think.
Yeah. So that is really, really neat right there, folks. Really, really cool stuff. All right, guys, we're bringing you back here. Did we have any other spots that anybody wanted to hit before we get off here? Ryan Carter. Don Hubbard says 328 was all gravel back in the day. Oh, wow, didn't know that. Wonder how long ago that was. Ryan Carter, there's still a Dog and Suds in operation in Paragould. Yep. Mm-hmm. I used to actually live pretty close to that one time in my life. Travis Wilcott's watching. Larry Huffman, you are now parked in the middle of Ode 67. Well, that's cool. I didn't know that. This is pretty neat. Mary Burton's on with us. Cindy Art. It's my father-in-law, Louis Arndt. Okay. Yep. He bought the caboose for his wife, Martha. Oh, that's really sweet. That's a cool story. That's really cool, man. Well, way to go, Louis or Louis. Way to go, buddy. That's fantastic stuff, man. That's really cool. Love to see that. Guys, while we're on here, again, we had a trivia question earlier. I just want to go ahead and give you the answer there. The answer to that is true. We have always, I've looked back as far as I possibly can, and we have always been the Corning Bobcats. And, folks, that is very rare. Very, very rare, and I'll tell you why. I looked at a lot of different newspaper stuff from the old times. I know Paragould wasn't always the Rams. I know Poplar Bluff wasn't always the Mules. They were the Delamoyans or something like that. Some weird, I don't know. Anyways.
I think Rector used to be the Black Cats, weren't they?
Yes. So a lot of schools, man, have changed mascots, if you will. I guess that's what we'll call it, mascots, if you will. Throughout the years, and Corning has never done that. I've went back as far as I possibly can, and that is really, really cool. So that is a true trivia question there, and I can't remember who got that right. I think Timothy Baumgartner got that right. Dalton, I think it said false, but wrong. I'm just giving you a hard time, Dalton. Yeah, I got nothing but love. Nothing but love. Again, that is a true statement, so that's really, really cool because that's so rare to see that because, we've been playing ball for a long, long, long time. I know in football since 1910, and I'm tracking basketball and baseball now, trying to go back as far as I can. So really, really cool stuff. Timothy Baumgartner said, good root beer. Larry Huffman said, Orange, I believe they bought it too. Yeah, we just got that message. Good job, Larry. Page Cat, it was a big deal back in the day when the cabooses made their Don Hubbard wants a Bobcat always. Yes, sir. It is very rare. Very rare. So I got my beautiful fiance trying to get a hold of me here. So, guys, again, we appreciate everybody for tuning in with us. This has been a trip down memory lane with our special guest, Drew Calhoun, man. Great job, brother. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, that's awesome. This is fun. I hope you guys had fun, too. Share the feed. We can get the history of Corning out there. And also, do some stuff in the comments there, too, if there's anything that we missed or whatever it might have been. Guys, we thank y'all so much. We appreciate you. Our next live stream will be Friday. We'll do a gaming stream. We're going to do something a little bit different, get a little bit different audience involved with our streams, and we're going to do it live online so we can all do it instead of all being in one place and getting everybody sick, which we don't want to do right now. So, guys, thank you all for tuning in. We appreciate you so much. For Drew Calhoun, Andy Earls here, everybody at CSR, we appreciate you guys. Y'all have a safe day. Have a great afternoon. We love you, and as always, go Cats.